The latest Forspoken gameplay trailer is receiving mixed reviews after a Forspoken trailer about a week ago got a lot of criticism for its dialogue being quote-unquote cringy. We are going to take a look at the gameplay. I'm going to break down right here at the beginning of the video the good, the bad, as well as the confusing. There's things about this that I just think are sort of setting people on edge. This game has been speculated about quite a bit. Now, I try to put everything right here at the beginning of the video in the form of an update. That way you don't have to go looking for it, and then it's followed by a pretty lengthy stream where we discuss it. So, if you like this content, hit subscribe and the bell button. This is a Reforge update. The latest Forspoken gameplay trailer receiving mixed response from people as its viewership continues to climb on YouTube, following in the wake of a Forspoken trailer that was criticized for being too cringy with the audio. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the confusing in a very quick breakdown. If you like these quick Reforge updates, check out Reforge Gaming, where I stream live. So, I want to talk about the good, because I do think there is good here. Since the beginning of Forspoken gameplay sort of being shown off to people, many were concerned it sort of looked like a technical test and maybe just a mismatch of really fun ideas, not really a game with its own identity. I do think what will probably define this game for most people is the traversal. I think the good, one of the first things out of the gate is the traversal. It's very seamless. It seems very fast. I am going to have some bad things to say about the traversal, but overall, I think traversing through this world looks like something that will be enjoyable within the content loop and something that people will feel is very memorable. It's very fast, it's creative, reminiscent to other sort of first-player action-adventure games in this vein. I think that's one of the things that will set it apart. Also, I think the combat will be something that people see as one of the center identity pieces of Forspoken gameplay, being sort of new, fresh, it's pretty involved, it's graphically intense. I do think there are some things with combat that need tweaked. I'll talk about that in a moment as well. Graphically, the game is also very strong. I think it's a great showcase of what the Unreal 5 engine can do. The world and the enemies look nice, character design's nice. You can see their clothing, their outfits, very intricate and very good. Some of the character design I'll talk about in a moment, because the good and the bad share a lot of the same categories. So let's just start talking about the bad. Traversal does seem a little awkward at times. It feels as though there's a slowness or a clunkiness in transitions, and that's to be understood. I mean, maybe the people recording it are just trying to show off all the various moves. Maybe you'll get better at it and more finessed as time goes on, but generally speaking, sometimes in games like this, you want that traversal to feel seamless. Now, experientially, when you're playing, you might not feel some of the things that we're seeing in the trailer. I experienced this in Horizon Forbidden West when I streamed it live. People said her hair was distracting. Well, I'm not looking at her hair. I'm looking at the world and I'm looking at the game, and the hair movement is sort of in my peripheral, so it actually looked totally fine. Some of these transitions and some of these movement things, just traversing a very basic area there, it might feel a little bit awkward when you're watching it, like why is she sort of bounding like a kangaroo through, a very basic area. It might feel cooler than it does sort of look in some of the instances, and then there are instances where the traversal looks awesome, so it's a bit of a mixed bag. Also, the combat feels a little overdone at times. Like they've tried to do so much. It's very spammy. There's lots of particles and flashing. Some of the footage looks very grindy, very basic enemies taking a very long time. I don't know if they've tweaked that based on feedback from some of the combat gameplay that got out early on. Graphically, the world feels a little generic. It feels sort of like a technical test, like they just threw random desert elements out there for you to comb over in ruins like this. They all look like sort of prefab set pieces that were dropped in the world, similar to when we first looked at Sonic Frontiers. The NPCs and the face movements also a little stiff, so the graphics are touch and go depending on how exactly you look at them and how exactly you judge the game. That's why my conclusion is this game is a little confusing. Dialogue doesn't really blend. The voice actor for the main character seems significantly lower quality as a voice actor compared to some of the people you hear in the 10-minute gameplay that was released. The graphics are here and there. Combat and movement are here and there. It feels as if they had certain people working on certain things and did a great job, while other people were just sort of phoning it in. We'll obviously have to wait and see when it comes out, but those are my very quick thoughts on the good, the bad, and the confusing about the latest Forspoken gameplay trailer. Check me out over on Reforge Gaming, where I stream live, and hit subscribe and the bell button so I can see you in the next video. All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you guys. Thank you for being here bright and early on a Monday morning. These late starts, I keep promising to be better. I booked both the shows this morning. I got nothing accomplished over the weekend. It was a very, very busy weekend. I got a little selfish on Sunday afternoon, and when my kiddos were each playing their video games, I decided to game a little bit myself and was just playing some Returnal and had a really, really fun time. And sorry to those of you that were, like waiting around today. We're not shilling today. No, we are not shilling today. A lot of people have accused me of being sort of a PlayStation shill and, a PlayStation apologist. I don't think this game looks that great. I'm a little concerned about this game. Again, it just looks, so much about the game just feels confusing. Like, this is a great screenshot to freeze on. Let me get out of the way. The UI over there with the three-dimensional thing that they're doing, and then the little house. Like, the house is fine, and the little ramp-up is fine. But again, with that and the rocks behind it, nothing feels unique. It just feels like a prefab little house next to a rock wall. Like, when you're in a game like this, when you are in Horizon Forbidden West, the towns and the villages and the people, they all have a feel to them. There's something handcrafted. So much of this, again, feels prefab. That's why I think so many people are saying it kind of looks and feels like a tech test. I want to know what you guys think. Could we get 11 more likes on the video? Go through the morning ritual of smashing the like button, switching over to live chat. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel with memberships. Memberships continue to be a great way to support the channel. And we did a members community game night on Friday. Looks like Jackbox is not really the call for that. We had a very, very light turnout. Well, actually, Friday might have been a little different for us for a variety of reasons. A bunch of you were not, you guys were not around on Friday, and I know why. So we might do another Jackbox community game night to truly test it, because a bulk of our community was busy with another game on Friday. We have slipped below 1,200 members, though. We're at 1,124. We do want to keep that 1,200 member count and above, especially once we get into September. Every time we hit 1,500, my wife's got to go back into Elden Ring. Maybe we'll come up with other games for her that you guys can make her play as long as we hit 1,500 members every month. And September's right around the corner. You could set us up nicely if you want to gift some members or jump in as a member yourself. Yo, what's good, Feed? Good to see you in the chat. I came on, I game on the PS5, says Tim Scripture. I was hyped for Forspoken, but the more I see, the less I'm excited about it. The combat looks interesting, but the story and the character interaction looks like trash. That's what I'm saying. I was listening to it, Tim Scripture. I watched Alana Pierce's reaction video, because we're going to start doing our own reaction content on a channel called Reforge Reacts. And I was like, okay, what's Alana doing? How's she kind of breaking it down? She basically approached it the same way that I would, but I really appreciated her thoughts on it. It's just like the cadence in which the main character speaks feels really awkward and odd. And the thing that stuck out to me, and Alana didn't point this out, the other voice actors sound better. They sound better. They're like, you must travel deep into this place. And she's sort of like, oh my, we're blowing stuff up. She just talks as if she's not even there. You know what I mean? Like, I think what they wanted to do, if I'm trying to be charitable here, I think they wanted her to feel out of place. But they went so far into making her feel out of place. Because, right, she gets ripped out of New York. That's the story, right? She gets ripped out of New York, and she's suddenly in this environment. So I think that's what they wanted to do. Let's drive home the fact she's from a different world. Okay, all right. Aren't there other ways to do that? Couldn't you have done different things than to make her sound aloof and uninterested in what's going on? It's just bizarre. It's like, and again, yeah, the UI choices. I wonder if we can get some of the fisheye to pop up. What on earth are some of these decisions? Let me see if we can get it. Is this one of the sections? Yeah, what is that? What am I looking at here? What has happened? Like, look down. Okay, so I can be over here. So we have the tools of Jahedi's old trade. Why is the text like that? Who designed this? It's all warped and small. And then look up there. Why is everything on a rounded surface? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. They should have had Rosie O'Donnell voice her. That would have been so funny. Hey, but she's from New York, right? It does look weird. Yeah, the UI looks so bizarre. I'm just going to let the video continue on my screen. And, well, you guys can watch it with me. We can just kind of commentate here. I don't want the radio show people to feel like they're not going to get their radio show. A lot of times we do gameplay breakdowns. The podcast homies bail. Don't worry. I'll give you your podcast. We're going to have a lively discussion all morning. Like, that looks so cool. All of this looks so cool. This is where I agreed with everything Alana Pierce said. She was like, the traversal just looks like fun. It really, really does. Now, I don't know why she's doing that, right? Like, she doesn't need to come and do acrobatic kickflips to open up the chest, but whatever. I'll look the other direction, okay? I'll look the other direction. Here we go again. What is this? Look at this. Look at this UI. It's a mess. This is an absolute mess. I like... If you think I'm a Sony fanboy, right now I am criticizing a front and center Sony piece of property that I think looks absolute bush league. Why is it like that up there? People are going to think there's something the matter with their television. They're going to be like, huh? Why does it look like that? Why is it warped? Yeah, why is it so cluttered? Okay, like right now, I want you to try to come to a quick conclusion about what you're gonna do, okay? So you got a judicious cloak. A cloak once beloved by Tanta Prav protects the wearer from being dazed. Cool, man. All right, let's take a look at what we're looking at here. I've got my level, and I've got my health, my stamina, my defense. Like, this right here is horrible. Why is this not just stacked? Health, 176. And then on the line beneath it, stamina, 500. Why is it like this, okay? Like, this isn't terrible, but it's just like, it's just word and number puke. And then down here, magical prowess, purple, red, blue, and green are all basically the same except for purple. Okay, so let's get into the menu system here now. So she goes in, and she's selected her cloak. Now, I actually think there's good and there's bad here. I think those cloaks look freaking sick. Like, I definitely am excited about that aspect. I think the cloaks and how cool you can make your character, I think that looks sick. I think there is good things here. Hopefully they have time to adjust. Dollars to donuts that this UI right here does not stay the same. It truly looks so over-stylized. It's so overbaked. Look at the word gear. It just doesn't look good. Like, they thought it would look cool. Like, I got an idea, guys. Let's wrap the entire UI around a ball. Yeah, that'll be good. I think if we wrap the entire UI around a ball and make everything feel like it's on, yeah, gear, and it just stops. It just, Chris, exactly. It just stops. Where's the R? Who ate the R? I gotta upgrade the shirt command, guys. I am wearing a Deadpool shirt today from 80s Tees and the Deadpool collection. There you go. So if you use the shirt command today, if you think this is a cool Deadpool shirt, always remember to use my code over there, code Lono over there. So again. You know what's funny? This again points to the confusion about this game. Look at the bottom of the screen. Look at the bottom. This totally looks normal down here. I've got everything's flat and readable. L1, journal, map, magic, gear. I like the purple. I think the purple's a good choice. It's in line with the game. Yet nails. I don't know. I guess she can get her nails done. Resources and archive. Okay. So this is fine. This down here is fine. And then the minute we step up here, I'm like, I don't know what in the frick happened. Did we take drugs? Like, are we drunk in the menu? All right. Anyway, I don't want to be guilty of the same thing. I don't want to overbake the criticism. I do think the cloaks look very, very cool, right? And you can see that the cloaks are actually going to come with perks. Now, I don't know if these 3 symbols indicate that you can unlock more or that some cloaks don't have all 4, but this is actually pretty cool. So this one here, the Pelerine, this one is going to give critical hits can restore health. So it does look like there's going to be some nice, very, you know, cool build options. You know, I'm not going to bash on the game, you know, too hard, because it actually looks like we might get, you know, some pretty decent build options with some variety and some depth. Let's pause on each one here. Oh frick, they're going so dadgum fast. Okay, here, the next one, debuffs on self-recover more quickly. So this one's a little bit more white than that one. And then we're going to get into the red ones here. These two look very similar down here around the bottom. It's the top that looks a little bit different, maybe the hood. It looks like maybe the cloaks have stages too. Valorous, surge magic recharge rate boosted with cuff block. So when you do a cuff block, you're going to get some of your magic recharge rate buffed. They're being jerks with this scene here. Hang on. And one more frame. Okay. So the next one's unstoppable. Attack magic triggered during parkour deals extra damage. So you can actually do, it seems like you can try and do attack magic while doing parkour to get extra damage. Reduce damage when landing. So now we're seeing here, some of them actually have more than one perk. Oh my word, why do they have to go so fast? Oh, they must have skipped right over this one. Yeah, I don't think you can see that one. I don't know. Oh, no. The first one is surge magic recharge rate boosted when cuff blocks, right? The fisheye thing is 100% a quick fix. The info's all there. Right, they can fix this UI. They can. Hey, Billy figured out how to texture map to a sphere. That's great, Alfonso, but we really should work on making the menus readable. Well, I'm your boss, so tough. Exactly. The fisheye will not go away. It's a crystal ball. Oh, is that what she's looking at when she's in the menu? That is so not necessary. Guys, if you're enjoying today's stream and breakdown, usually I am full screen doing a talk show. We're doing a bit of a breakdown of the Forspoken gameplay, and we're looking at all the different cloaks. I think there's good and there's bad here. I think the build options in Forspoken gameplay are certainly there. You can see that just in the cloaks and all the different things. Now we're to the Judicious, the one that she just got, immune to dazing. Let's see if she actually puts it on. Oh, she puts it on. So she comes out. Okay, so she's left that menu. Oh, look. Oh, we didn't really get to see it on her. That looked so cool. Is she wearing it here? I think she's wearing it here. Yeah, she's wearing it here. Oh, this section actually looked good to me. Okay, other than the fact that she's just whooping up on Elk, seemingly just to be a jerk. She's just killing this entire family. You know, poor Bambi gonna come home from lunch. There's just an alligator walking around too. Alligators with apparently antlers. Anyways, so right there you see some pretty cool things that she can do. And this is where I think some of the content and some of the combat loop could be pretty fun. Just, you know, she's doing, oh golly, this is something that's kind of turning me off already. So she's getting a grade up in the corner. We're getting into a UI, just a UI soup here. String spells together, perform side strike attacks. She's getting a grade up there. I've never been a big fan of that. You can see it right above me. I would turn that off if I could. I don't mind. The thing behind me, I don't mind. Paul's been pretty critical of that. I actually think it's kind of cool. But I think the thing above me, the grading of the combos and the points popping up, just feels so ridiculous. The dev said you can turn off certain aspects of the UI. Yeah, I would be turning off that. I don't give a frick about how you rate my combo. So here is one of the things other people have taken issue with the UI, the three-dimensional aspect. So this was highlighted before they released anything that looked like a fisheye or a globe. I don't know what she's doing with her head there. She is an owl. Look, she's breaking her neck. Yeah, I've heard of the First Descendant. We're going to try and get into the beta. So some people have taken issue with this. There's a couple of problems here. Number one, it's a little angled, which just makes readability go down slightly. And I say slightly. But then I look at Pulse Dart and I'm like, what are y'all doing? Why is it doing like a word wiggle? Like, look at that. That looks like an absolute freaking mess. It's not even wiggling, by the way. It's not animated. It isn't. They just decided to put the letters there like somebody dropped them on the ground. Like, so I just question some of the design choices here. That just isn't pleasant to look at, right? It isn't pleasant to look at. Now, I'm not going to be overly critical because the average person, once they know that that's Pulse Dart, they're going to be going to the icon. The average person is going to go to the icons. So I don't want to overly criticize here. But again, this just doesn't look like something a mainstay PlayStation title would be doing. This just looks sloppy. And it just doesn't look pleasant again. Why are the letters all like up and down? And it just is weird. I think sometimes when your style disrupts function, that can be a problem, But again, this is in the middle of combat. I think the combat looks fantastic. She goes up here, she does that, bam, and then they're all dead. And she the mantling. I thought the mantling looked really, really seamless. Did you see that? So she goes down, misses her jump, jumps, mantles. That all looks very, very seamless, I think that's cool. And then she does something with roots that just goes bonkers crazy. So she, the combat, I think, and as I said in my show open, and then you can see there she's wearing that new cloak that she got. I think the customization looks very good as well. I think one of the things that people are really going to identify with this game is going to be the combat and the traversal. Here again, this up here is not animated. I don't know why they're doing this. Look at the letters. It just looks weird. It looks like a weird choice to me. This doesn't seem like a stylized, like artistically driven thing. It just looks sloppy. This isn't going to ruin my gameplay experience, but it just is concerning when you see the fisheye UI and you see this. It's like, what other artistic decisions did you guys make that's going to mess with the, like, this isn't messing with the game, but other things could, right? I'm not, this right here is not a deal breaker. This wouldn't show up in a review and like take points off, but this combined with the UI decisions, I think it's a little concerning. It starts to feel a little, as I call it, overbaked. It's like you guys are doing so many stylistic things. Now, I will say this building doesn't look as uninspired as some of the other buildings. This actually looks very cool. It's got a mixture of like Egyptian hieroglyphics, and it feels a little bit like a Viking, almost like a Viking ski lodge a little bit, but it also has some Catholic inspiration with those paintings on the side there. You can see right to my right. So it had an Egyptian hieroglyphic feel, but now it feels a little bit more like traditional Catholic art style, like old paintings and old cathedrals. But again, that's where I'm worried, because if you look at this building, it's such a mismatch of styles. You've got almost a Viking-like entrance, like something out of Valhalla, okay? She gets right here, and this looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics, and you got birds and stuff over here with archways in the blue. Feels very ornate, but again, very Egyptian. And then you get a little bit closer, and it feels very cathedral-like, Catholic-like. Again, it literally feels confusing, and I don't know if that's part of the story. Is it supposed to look like this? Are parts of our world, touching and inspiring parts of this world? I don't know, And then the light above, it looks like something off of a table in No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk. It feels so smashed together. It's hard to get a feel. Like when you look at Horizon Forbidden West or God of War, you immediately, or even AC Valhalla, you immediately have a sense of the world that you're in, and these stylistic mashups are just another indication of something that, to me, I'm not calling it bad, I'm calling it confusing. It's like, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, am I in a world that's inspired by ours? Am I in a world that's its own? Why does it have so many reminiscent things to our world as well? Maybe that gets explained in the story, and maybe it's incredibly interesting, right? You're being super nitpicky out here, critical of text and the UI. You can't make this up. Yeah, if you don't like it, go the frick somewhere else. This is what I do. Breaking down gameplay trailers is more interesting than listening to people like you. That's why I have a show and you don't. So she goes up to this table, and okay, again, the fisheye thing. I wonder if they're just going to make that a setting. Are they going to make that a setting in the UI? Can you just turn off the fisheye? It just looks bad. It truly looks like there's something wrong with my monitor. It's distorted. Look at the line below. Look at the line below. Create a cloak or necklace upgrade. It's like, it's like stretched. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand. Why would you think that that's a good decision? It looks like there's something wrong. Now, if you were looking at an actual like structure or sphere or something, and it was like stretched, and you were rotating the sphere, I could understand it. Like if it was like a projection or something, they're gonna I guarantee you they're gonna let people turn that off. Because Britt Dyer's saying they like the fisheye concept. Chat, all right, weigh in right now. How many people like the fisheye menu and how many people don't? Because I want to know who would turn it off. Right? I want to know who would turn it off. I would turn it off. Like, look at that. And look at this. Like some Instagram filter. Like why is this stuff? Look at the blur effect on this right here. That doesn't even look intentional. That looks like that's an accident. It's all pixelated. You can see the squares. Right? You can see the squares. You criticize, I criticize? No, you can't come in and criticize the show. If you come in and criticize the show or me, just leave. If you don't like the show, leave, Corey. You and some other people come in here and you focus more on me and how I do my content. If you're going to be critical of the show, just go the frick somewhere else. Like, if you want to be critical of the game or you want to defend the game's decision, that's a discussion. Do you understand the difference between criticizing me and my content and disagreeing with me? You don't seem to understand the difference, and neither of the people that got banned. So maybe you want to join them. It's needlessly distracting. It doesn't look good. It looks visually dissonant. Like, you have all this stuff up here. This is totally fine. If this was flat, nothing up here is bad. And then you come down here and you have multiple layers about like what you can look at. And then you have multiple options to look at. That's totally fine. Why are you blurring it and distorting it? Right? You don't need to blur and distort the imagery. It just ends up looking... This right here looks like something that needs to be patched, not like a stylistic decision. I can literally see the squares of the blur effect. There's a filter in Photoshop that literally does this. It blurs and pixelates at the same time. That's what it looks like. It just doesn't look very good. Now this looks great. This right here, if you get rid of the distortion, this is perfect. This is exactly right. I love the graphics on here, and I love the icons over here. Because what this indicates here is you can improve the stats. We looked at this a little bit ago. Like, you have multiple potential stats that you can invest in, and they each have their own, their own icon, right? So, I think this is totally fine. I think the fisheye setting needs to go. People in chat are saying, yes, hate it, hate this, I don't mind. It could help with the immersion. You see it the way she sees it, says Kareem. The fisheye is messy. I'd want to turn it off. It's too busy. The fisheye style UI menu and blur as well. It does feel disorienting. Like, okay, so I've actually studied this, and that's why I'm drawing attention to it. With respect to, I worked for a tech company, and I've studied this a little bit more as well with thumbnail design on YouTube, all right? Your eyeball makes decisions for you, and you don't even realize it, okay? If I were to give you a test where you looked at search results on YouTube, and there were 6 thumbnails, and 5 of them were very busy and cluttered to different degrees, right? You'd have like really cluttered, sort of cluttered, not so much cluttered, all right? And then I had one that was very clean, very easy to read, extremely focused on negative space and leaving space for your eyeball to see words, etc., okay? Your eyeball makes decisions for you when you're scrolling through those search results. It will ignore the cluttered and the messy for you. You don't have the brain power to do that on your own. Your eyeball does it for you. okay? There's entire science and psychological studies behind this, behind usability, readability of websites, and I had to do a whole book study on it when I was working for this tech company. Because I was supposed to go to potential clients and make presentations about, procedural engagement and parallax scrolling websites and reworking their websites and creating like really good database interfaces that were usable for both them and their clients, etc. So we really, really studied it pretty deeply. So when I look at this, the first thing I think is, my gosh, it's so messy, so dissonant, and so disorienting. You don't want people in the game to feel that every time they open the menu. Oh gosh, here we go again. Like, even if it's at a subconscious level, their eyeball is feeling annoyed or just ignoring helpful information, maybe just glossing over it. Maybe they don't want to do all this reading, right? I actually think this is a pretty significant challenge in games in general. Like, how do you blend reading and information delivery in a game that's supposed to be fun? Like, not everybody wants to read a book, right? Like, you don't want to go into a room and pick something up and suddenly you're having to do a research project. So the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm looking at it and saying, I'm immediately turned off. I'm like, that's ugly, or that's off-putting. That's not something you want in your game, because one of the things I'm gonna praise them for right now, I actually think this is something that's really, really praiseworthy. All right, right here, okay? Right here, nothing on the screen except for down in the lower left-hand corner. So their UI deserves tons of praise for this. Like, look at the world. If this is the experience I can have during the day, at night, or whenever, I absolutely love this. Like, this is great. This is exactly why I love the Dead Space immersion. And then right there. Now, that could be something that the player has turned on, because we've all made jokes about this, right? Like, putting something in the UI that's unnecessary. That could be them quest tracking or something. Overall, you don't want too much of that on the screen, because, it sort of breaks that sense of, I'm in this amazing world with glowing trees and there's smoke coming out of the ground, and, she's got like pixie dust coming off her feet. She looks freaking awesome, right? So I actually think at one level their UI decisions are very, very good. Well, now she gets in here and we got purple dots everywhere. Again, I don't know if this is something that you can turn off or on. It's one thing to have it on the one you're targeting. It's another thing to have it on every single one, unless she's marked them, right? Like in some games, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, etc., you would mark the individual, enemies and then go in and have that advantage. I don't know if she's using an ability or if she's done that, but this over here gets a little messy. Now, the thing behind me, again, I don't have any problem with this. Some people take issue with that being at a slant. It also, strangely enough, speaking of negative space, why is it so far up into the screen? I wonder if they're going to give us customization. Look how far up that is. Why isn't it nested down here? Look at this giant L that I can make. Nothing down here, right? Nothing down here. Look where this UI lands. Again, this is just a slight awkward dissonance in the game. Why is this nested and anchored in the corner? Even this is probably out a little bit too far. Do you see its distance to the bottom? See the distance to the bottom? Not bad. And then distance over here is greater. That creates a visual dissonance as well. It doesn't seem like it's placed properly. Do you understand? Like, I'm not being nitpicky. This just seems like sloppy work. Like, why is it nested and anchored this low, but then you double the distance to the side? And then this is way out here floating. Have no idea why. That could be something customizable to the user. Possibly. Now, again, a great reason to anchor it in the corner, is that right there. Man, drag all that down out of the screen. Did people complain about the Pip-Boy interface in Fallout or the hyper-stylized menus in UI in Dead Space games? Genuine question. I actually remember people taking some issues with Pip-Boy. Yeah, a little bit. I also remember people taking issue with, well, actually, I wasn't covering games back in Dead Space. It's also old. This happened in the streaming world, Derek. So in the streaming world, streamers used to have alerts and overlays and animations, and it was obnoxious. This is what I run. more and more streamers are going to a stripped down overlay. Why? Because in the early days, it was really exciting. Like this here, down here in the corner, like this is the most elaborate thing we run. Now we're eventually going to run like pop-ups for members and stuff like that. So I do wonder if sometimes games went through a similar phase of like, hey, throw everything on the screen, have a really elaborate UI, it's really fun, ooh, pretty lights, and now people are going for a more stripped down, more usable UI as opposed to a flashy UI, if that makes sense. I'm checking to see if we have any coffee orders. We have no coffee orders yet today, and we have no new members or no gifted members yet. For those complaining about Lono nitpicking, it's actually good for these complaints to be voiced by the community now. It's possible these complaints could get back to the devs and changes could be made. That's right, Sean. And anybody who says that I'm a Sony fanboy, like I'm picking this apart. I'm being pretty critical, right? I think this thing's got work. I think they've got work to do. It's probably good they delayed. Right? Because that looks awesome. Her movement looks awesome. That looked cool. Now, I will say this. That seems... Right now, this seems to be a bit much. Now, if they let me tweak all this, number one, what I would do immediately, I would get rid of this combo thing. Get this out of here. Or at the very least, I don't need this. Do you think in the middle of combat I'm reading use attack magic while parkouring plus 20, perform side strike attacks plus 34, string spells together plus 20? Like, this is useless in the middle of battle. Who the frick's reading that? I feel like he's on edge for anyone who disagrees with him. No. People disagree with me all day, Corey. You took issue with me nitpicking. You're failing to understand the difference between saying, I feel like this is nitpicking, I think it looks fine, or I think games are allowed to be this stylized. You took issue with my content, not with my argumentation. Your inability to see the difference is your own fault, not mine. I'm not on edge for people disagreeing with me. I literally sit here for 6 hours a day and have disagreements. We only banned people for coming in and just stirring the pot, being insulting and lying. Like, we just don't have time for that anymore. I don't have time for that. But look at this. This is like, listen. I said not moments ago that if you're going to make decisions about text and font that's kind of messy and kind of gross, look at what it turns into. Look at what it turns into. This is absurd. There's so much. This is too much. Do you understand what I'm saying? You go from her running in the open world, no UI, clean, awesome traversal, graphically focused, and now look at the frickin' screen. Now look at the screen. It's such a swing. That's why I said it's confusing. I would turn all this off except for I don't know about the numbers. The numbers are obnoxious too. They're so stylized. It's you got a 2 and a 6 and a 2 and a 7. Everything's all separated. Just have them pop up real quick, nice and small. Have it right by their health bar. I don't need vulnerable to pop up. Have the numbers pop up in a certain color if they're vulnerable, and have the numbers pop up in another color if they're not vulnerable. I don't need the word vulnerable. It's a big word too. It doesn't... It could say weak. Why don't you just put a whole paragraph? This enemy is vulnerable to this attack, plus 35 damage because you used this attack. Just put a whole dadgum paragraph there while you're at it. It doesn't make any sense. It's too much. It's just too much. If you think that's cool, you can turn it off. Good. I'm turning that off. That's way too much. I feel like it's a frickin' mobile game. Even look at the ending. That's not even an enjoyable conclusion. And look at that. It's an explosion of... It's like someone blew up an Excel spreadsheet. Golly. Come play Forspoken and fight against spreadsheets and fonts. It's too much. So why complaining? I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. People have their own opinions. This is literally what I do for a living. I sit down and I tell people what I think. That's what I do. Would you rather me do a breakdown where like, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good. That also looks good. That would be boring. I think this looks bad. I think this is a bad showcase for your game. Yo, Kale got a coffee order in. Thank you so much, Kale. Let's watch a little bit more here. Let's watch a little bit more. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, but the vulnerable ruins it. It's like an invisible horse that she's fighting. I will say too, I don't know about you guys, but like particle effects in this. Okay, so when your particle effects are obscuring and hiding like a lot of what's on screen. KO with 2 bags of light roast. Thank you so much. Like, do you see what I'm saying? It's fast enough, but I am a little worried about that too. Like, there's so much particle effects. Look at that. It just looks messy. Like, okay, so from here, it looks fine. The thing blew up. Cool, you gotta blow up. And then I don't know what, like, so she flies, I don't know what, and who's 271? Where is 271 coming from? The thing to the left is getting hit for 270. Why is 271 appearing on my character? You see the 271? Where did that come from? And then we got a floating 182. Yo, a $4 tip from James Carr. I get why they want to show the vulnerable, but it's too much. Do you see what I'm saying about this being confusing? So we have 182 on the horse. The 271, what did that come from? Is that me? Am I getting something there? And then it's got to leave the screen like a freaking PowerPoint presentation. Get the frick out of here. It looks like she got extra attack on another horse. It's like it's hitting the other horse as well. Butters says, if the game is designed well, you should need zero UI. The character cues should tell you enough visually. I don't know if I agree with that axiom. I don't agree with that axiom. I think good UI goes a long way. Yeah, I think it's the other horse. Yeah. Another horse comes in. Yeah, right here. It's just such a mess. I don't know. I'm going to turn all that off. It doesn't even make any sense. It's like, how is that information supposed to help me? This right here is perfect. This is beautiful. Look at this. Is awesome. The parkour, the player agency in midair, the ability to change directions. This looks great. Nothing on the screen except for her health down here in the corner. And then that's fine. Monument of Justice. That kind of stuff popping up is totally fine. I disagree with everything you've said about the game in the last 10 to 15 minutes. Looks fine to me. That's fine. I mean, if you like getting hit in the eyeballs with particle effects and the word vulnerable 8 times and numbers that inexplicably come from nowhere and then in an animated way leave the screen, none of it seems like effective communication. It seems like they're just showing off, right? Damage numbers in games can be great. They can be great. Like, there's damage numbers in Diablo. There's damage numbers in Borderlands. Like, I think damage numbers in video games is totally fine. It needs to be done in an effective way. And it's, to me, if it's all showmanship and it's not effective, I feel like that's part of the reason people are watching this footage and coming to different conclusions about whether or not it looks really, really good or whether or not it looks really, really bad, right? And I actually think character design in this game is fantastic. The lighting on her face, the skin, the texture, her hair, I think her clothing, I think it all looks good. I will say that and then this looks like a completely different game all of a sudden. That looks like Hades' art style. I don't understand. That doesn't look like a physical item anymore. So I will say this. I'm not going to be too critical on this because I do think it's probably, I think it's is it a slightly smaller team than Guerrilla? I think the character movement and facial animations are a little stiff. They're not bad. See what I mean? Like, she has that dead-eyed stare, like nothing's touching her face. It's like she has zero, she almost looks like an automaton. Like, she looks like one of those moving wax figures at one of those, you know, when you, like, they have all the presidents standing there and all of a sudden Abe Lincoln starts talking. They kind of have that look. I'm not going to bash them for that too hard. I don't necessarily think anybody's doing this is pretty consistent, you know, across the board in games these days. Whether you look at Forbidden West, I think Forbidden West improved significantly up from Horizon Zero Dawn. This, to me, looks on par with Horizon Zero Dawn. You know, that just like nothing, no emotions touching their face. They seem, you know, as if they're just standing there being told, yeah, here's your next line, and then their mouth starts moving, right? Is he deliberately calling this a Sony production for some reason? This is a Sony exclusive title. What do you mean? What are you talking about? It's a Sony game for the most part. Well, I mean, not a Sony game, sorry. It's a Sony console exclusive. I can say Horizon is bad. I never said Horizon is bad. I said that Horizon Forbidden West increased this, but this is on par with, like, Zero Dawn. It's not a Sony game. It's a timed exclusive. Okay, I am literally going to ignore that level of being pedantic today because I just am not in the mood for it. It's a console exclusive to Sony for a limited time. It's representing the Sony platform. It's a front and center piece of the Sony marketing right now. Like, I'm not interested in that debate. Jiminy frickin' Christmas. What a fruitless, any minute spent on this more than the minute I just spent is a waste of time. So they showing off the different biomes here. Okay, so this looks like all the stuff that we start in the beginning. There's like yellow crystals, yellow enemies, and everything's very green. And then this is red. I wonder if this has to do with the magic. They had the magic in the menu, like the what was it? Yellow. This is blue, I think. And that's green, obviously. So I wonder if this is related to all the magic that she gets. Okay, that was freaking dope. Yeah, the enemy design in this game is awesome. I actually think the enemies have the most identity. I don't think the world has great identity. I think the world feels sort of generic. But I think the enemies have a good identity. Like, they feel recognizable. They all feel very much as if they're touched on, oh, we should have used this for the thumbnail. That's not very good. Like, holy moly. There were scenes like this in Forbidden West. Teeth are still a challenge, I think, for game companies. You know? I think teeth are just tough. You see? I think teeth, I think they're having a hard time with teeth in video games, man. Because that looks friggin' awkward. World looks fine. I think the world looks most of what we've seen in the world, it just looks like they dropped her into a prefab world. It doesn't feel handcrafted. It doesn't feel like it has identity. It's a great day for gaming news and Reforge Rose. Thanks for 5 months, Cody, and Ganks with a year and a half, and it's a tier 2. Good morning, brother. Hope you had a good weekend. Thank you, Ganks. Thanks for a year and a half. I think the environments look a lot more interesting than another couple dozen swamps and gothic castles. Yeah, but I think the difference is when you're in a Dark Souls game, you know you're in a Dark Souls game because of the handcrafted nature of the environments. They all have a very similar style. So sure, those games feel very similar and very, you know, the gothic or whatever you want to call it. But I don't think they feel like prefab worlds. They feel handcrafted. Like, it's like this thing that's happening, okay? There's this thing that's happening now. There's all these AI companies that are creating artwork, and they're creating, what is this? This is at the end of the trailer. There's a frickin' bunny cat with wings. A bunny rabbit cat with wings. the frick was that? Pre-order now, and you can get this cloak, this necklace that has symbol combo necklace. Okay, it's not a Sony title, guys, but, you know, pre-order today to get outfits that literally have Sony's logo in it. Okay, cool. So nobody's associating this title with Sony. Yeah, you're right. Here you go. Yeah, my gosh. They're doing this thing where, like, AIs can create artwork, can create faces, and it's like the minute you look at it, you know it's not handcrafted, right? The minute you look at it, you know it's not handcrafted. And I think some of these worlds that she's in, that it doesn't feel handcrafted. It feels like they just dumped a bunch of design elements on the ground. And the only reason I'm drawing attention to that is we said similar things about Sonic Frontiers, okay? Now, I'm just going to make a prediction. She has a cat at the very beginning, and then some cat shows up at the end. I think this is a parallel universe to our universe. I think that's why we're seeing similarities between animals and stuff. Maybe even that artwork on that house. Because I wonder if that's what this is all supposed to be. Do you think Starfield's handcrafted? There's a big difference between what Starfield is attempting to do and what this game's attempting to do. So I've defended the use of procedural technology in other games if used when it makes sense, right? So the way that they handcraft a game like this, I think, is very different than a game that's setting its sights on having like 1,000 planets. Guys, could we get 200 likes before the first hour is up? But when I look at this, like, if you removed that, because a lot of the game's shots up to this point did not have this big whatever you call that. This here with the cliff sides and the trees and the mountains, I wouldn't. It's just like, oh, is that Halo? I don't know what game that is. Like, but when you show me like a biome in Horizon Forbidden West or God of War, I can't quite say it any other way than there's something identity driven by it. And a lot of the environments they've shown early on in this game don't feel like something that's sort of handcrafted and dripping with identity. It's like, here's a hillside with trees. That was awesome. Everything she does with abilities, I get excited about. Because I know she's got different magic. So she's got like a crowd of zombie people here. Boom. That's freaking dope. See, right here, I think we're getting glimpses into just how great UE5 is. Look at all of the individual trajectories. That freaking effect is sick. That looks so... There's so much going on there. This is one of the things I was saying earlier, like one of the reasons I'm a little bit concerned about how much, like, particles and particle effects are going on. You lose... Like, this looks great because it's all by itself. This is on the Luminous engine? What do you mean? I thought this was UE5. My show open is garbage. I thought this was UE5. I am misinformed. All games come in UE5. Forspoken versus Unreal 5 tech demo. Oh. So when Forspoken first debuted, they were contrasting it against UE5 tech demos. I thought it was a UE5 tech demo. Because when it first came out, there were all these videos talking about Forspoken and the Unreal 5 engine. And this dates back to like March of last year. They were drawing comparisons between Forspoken and the Unreal 5 tech demo. And that got blended in my brain. And I thought UE5 was how they built this game. So what's another game that's used that engine? Luminous. Watch the Luminous makeup demo. Oh, it's the engine used by Square? Really? I mean, whenever this first came out, everyone said it looks like a tech demo, it looks like a tech demo, and then they started showing comparisons to UE5. So maybe there was speculation early on, and I just baked it into my brain, and I was like, oh, it's UE5. Final Fantasy 15. Oh, okay. Well, It looks so good. The particle effects look so good. I thought it was UE5. Like, I honestly did. I didn't even second guess it. Because that movement right there, not the surfboard, this jump. So from the time that she jumps to the time that she lands, there's so many different things that happen, like little tendrils and like little particle effects and stuff. I just assumed it was UE5. I guess you can kind of tell in the character design with her hair and her skin texture, it's not quite the things that we've seen from UE5. That is a bit of a giveaway. I wasn't sure if that was an artistic style decision though. Not going for like the super hardcore realistic skin and faces. I thought, well, maybe it's an art decision. Every once in a while she channels Ana Lucia from Lost, like her facial expressions. I am actually interested in this aspect of the game as well, like these huge, wide open areas. Something that Alana Pierce pointed out is everything feels very empty, and what's the reason for that? So, like, here's a great example of why it feels kind of prefab, right? Everything just feels sort of dropped in the world. Nothing feels as if it's organically there. Like, this just looks like a set-piece model. You see what I'm saying? See how clean the walls look? And that right there? It's so cut and dry. It doesn't, like, there's nothing here that feels lifelike. And then the boxes, I don't know. This is what I'm talking about. It's not that it's bad. It's that it literally feels like a prefab set and they just drop stuff into it. You know, here, drop some enemies, drop some of these guys, drop some of those little carts and things like that. It doesn't feel genuine, and maybe they'll explain that in the story. You know, maybe this village or maybe this city appeared out of nowhere, and they all are just coming in and setting up shop in this seemingly pristinely designed, untouched by time area, and then here everything's all messed up. You see what I'm saying? Look at the ground, look at the pillars. This looks handcrafted. Even look at the wall over here. This all looks handcrafted and touched by an artist. This does not. And I don't know, maybe they're going to explain this in the story. But this right here looks like some computer spit out this village and these people. There's almost no sign of anything being sort of real or genuine organic. And then you come here and like, yeah, this looks real. This looks pristine. I'm sorry, not pristine. This looks handcrafted. I'm not talking about like the wear and tear on the items. I'm talking about like some of it looks literally auto-generated and other things look handcrafted, which maybe that's what we're looking at. Because even here, she's going up into the city. Obviously, some of these areas have been destroyed, so maybe that's why they just don't look as prefab, because there's actually just signs of cracks and dirt and dust, you know. And then this stair area looks great. This looks fine. And then here we are again. Maybe that's what we're supposed to be seeing is this all new? Yeah, that looks so flat and lacking in detail compared to everything else. You think Star Ocean looks better than this? Oh, I don't think so. This is not a question of graphical power. This is not a question of like graphical fidelity. It's a question of like stylistic choices. Yeah, it looks lifeless. It just looks weird. And again, maybe there'll be explanations of what's going on. Like maybe this place just appeared out of nowhere and there's supposed to be a stylistic juxtaposition. There's literally people appearing on the steps too, by the way. See that pop in? That's extremely interesting. That draw distance is very close. This draw distance is super close. So that right there on the stairs where I'm circling, there's going to be some pop in. Yeah, they just fade those characters in. That could be an engine limitation. I don't know. That could be one of the reasons when they have this amount of structure in view, there's just not a lot of details on it. There's not a lot of shading or shadows or signs of wear. Wait, I wonder. Hang on a minute. I'm going to just watch the walls. Yeah. Yep. There's weird things going on with the draw distance. All right. Watch this section. Hang on. YouTuber with 5 months. Great breakdown as always. It's one of the first major... This is not UE5. I misspoke. This is the engine that the Final Fantasy games are built in. I was corrected on that. I was incorrect on the engine. I swore this thing was UE5. It is the Luminous engine. Did I miss some resubs as well? I think I did. Oh, no, I called them out. Cody Biscuits and that. Thank you, YouTube Lurker. All right, so this is one of the reasons why I think some of this stuff looks lifeless and like when it's really far away. And this is not me being overly critical. When you're out in the open world, they might be able to hide some of this because it's trees and it's like mountains and it's more difficult to deduce it. But watch this structure right here. It literally changes as she gets closer. 1, it just changed. 2, it changed again. Did you see it? It's like the details pop in. So they're doing some sort of draw distance thing. It's why the city looks so weird when there's so many walls and so many structures. It looks flat and lacking in detail when compared to the rest of the game and the world, and it could be an engine limitation thing. Again, watch this metal structure woven into the wall. Just watch. Click. It just clicked over and got more detail. See? You can back it up and the details leave. Go forward, click, and it's going to do it one more time. Click, it did it again. So that might be an explanation as to why when in some of these areas, I'm like, and this is something Alana Pierce pointed out. She's like, it just looks very prefab, very empty, very uninspired. It's just lacking in detail. It's lacking in, it doesn't feel like it's got life to it. That could be why. There could be a draw distance issue. That draw distance happened right here with these guys. They popped in, which is what made me go back and try to like kind of pick it apart. Because look, right here, oh, you see that? You can see what I'm talking about. That door looks great, and so does this structure. It's a draw distance thing. It's a draw distance thing. The minute she's close to stuff, it looks great. So they might be having to do some kind of a render distance where certain things very far away are going to feel flat. The Digital Foundry did a great analysis of this in Halo with respect to draw distance on the cliff sides and the trees and the stuff. And it's why when you're in some of the areas, everything just doesn't look very, very good. This is a king trash level of analyzing a game right here. Cool. Don't come back. Take your joystick with you. Let's see here. Again, we talked about this earlier. I think that the detail, I actually can't wait until we can gift members to specific people. I'm so tired of trash cans in the chat with joysticks. Like, I wish I could take your joystick from you and give it to somebody else. So many drive-by, thoughtless, mental morons are like in here with joysticks next to their names. Like, I'm literally banning you so people don't come in here and think that you represent our community. I don't want you here because you're a misrepresentation of the community that hangs out here. Thoughtful, dialogue-driven, debate-driven, discourse-driven people, and you're just in here being a douche. So bye and never come back. Like, I don't want you in here representing our community. Clothing designs are great. I think that's one of the things we're seeing get better in every game. I think the clothing design in Starfield is good. I think clothing design in Horizon Forbidden West is good. Everything looks very real. Again, character movements are stiff. Facial animations are stiff. I'm not gonna rip them up one side and down the other for that. Oh, it is her nails. Oh, so she does things to her nails. Oh, kind of like the tattoos in Far Cry. Yeah. What a time to drop by. Did you mistakenly drink Folgers? No, I'm not going to let people come in here and do this. If you're going to call my video that I'm putting on right now and taking the time to put on a show for people, and you're going to say it's king trash level of breakdowns, then leave. I don't want people like that here. Disagreeing with me is welcome. There's a difference. I really think people are struggling with this morning. Do I need to get out a dry erase board and explain the difference between disagreeing with me and saying, I don't agree with what you're saying, I think the game looks fine, or I think the game is totally fine? That's not the same as saying the content you're making right now is trash. Like, the content you're making right now is bad content. Then get the frick out. Like, leave then. Mitchell coming in with a 19-month milestone. It's a tier 3. Mitchell also gifting 10 memberships to the community. Guys, there's 10 memberships up for grabs right now. Click that thing that says allow gifts. I will say we're getting pretty picky with the trailer that's likely alpha footage. So you think they released 10 minutes of gameplay and it's not supposed to be looked at and analyzed. It's not supposed to be looked at as a representation of the product. This is an alpha. What is this, a tech test? A game that was set to come out in October, which is 2 months from now. No, not even a month from now, like a month and a half from now. He might have meant the guy King Thrash. Wait, was he paying me a compliment? Hang on. Let me unban him. Here we go. Harry got one. Brian got one. Micah got one. That's 3. King Sonic, Scott, Sean W., Dr. Slay, Sergeant Shotgun, Raphael, and Armin. Hey, they went really fast, finally. I can read your chat, Donovan. Bill Pogge, are you still here? Were you saying King Thrash I don't think is a compliment? Was he insulting me? Listen, insulting me isn't welcome. Why would I welcome that? I like what's presented so far, says MJ. But the screen does look a bit busy, like Anthem. King Thrash is a retired king of rock, trolls, and Queen Barb's father. He first appeared. Are we sure it's not a YouTuber? It said trash, not thrash. He might have misspelled it. Listen, the point is, he said, this is a king trash level of analyzing game right here. Shake my head. Yeah, I don't think he was paying me a compliment. He wasn't paying me a compliment. Why in the world would I let people come in here and insult me? Like, why do you guys think I'm being negative or acidic or rude? Why would I not kick people out that are going to insult me? Get the frick out of here. I don't want somebody coming in here and thinking that my members can just come in and talk to me like that. No. Oh, yeah, those members, man, they're just constantly ripping into that guy, telling him his content's trash and not good, and saying he's just being nitpicky and whiny. King Thrash does game analysis of games without tools. I don't think it was intended as an insult. Yeah, he put shake my head at the end of the sentence. Listen, we are entering a phase of this channel where there's more and more people here every day, and that's great. And I'm going to curate the kind of chat we have. I'm not going to let insults come into the chat. I'm not. I don't let people insult other users either. My mods are instructed to be like, listen, if you're going to start attacking another person in chat, you're going to get bopped. Sorry. No, SMH is shake my head, not smack my head. Smack my head like, oh. Who would say smack my head? Like, is it supposed to be like a face palm? No, it's shake my head. Smack my head? Dude, like, no. Shake my head. Shake my hand. Yeah, shake my hand. Firm handshakes. Listen, I've been doing this for a really, really long time. Okay? I've been doing this for a really, really long time. We're closing in on my 9th year of doing, live content. And if there's one thing I've learned, you never let anything like that get an inch in the room. Why? Because we typically have tons of people active in chat not doing that. I'm never going to give it an inch. You know what I mean? If you want to have an argument, just point out the opinion about the game, not the streamer. Yes. It's real simple. Like, if you don't agree with my take, then take issue with the take. Don't tell me my coverage or my breakdown is crap, trash, bad, or nitpicky. No. Make an argument. Make an argument. How we do this on purple? I kicked people out more aggressively on purple. People will tell you, I'm way more tolerant now than I was on purple. People come in here, and if they're disagreeing with me, and they're a little cutting, and they're a little nasty, I just ignore it. But if you start insulting me and the channel and the content, I'm like, get the frick out of here. That's not what we want to do. That's not helpful. Because listen, if I let them do it, you think I can't take it? You think I can't endure minor, very Bush League insults? I can take it. It doesn't bother me. It's because they're going to start doing it to other people. They'll start doing it to other people. I've been doing this a long time. You think somebody telling me my content's trash or nitpicky really ruffles my feathers? You aren't familiar with who I am as a person if you think that's ruffling my feathers. It's that we don't do that here. That's the rules. That's the rules on the door. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm so bothered. I need to take a break, guys. You know, all these people that are like, just the negativity gets to me. I have to take a break. No, it's because I don't want it in the chat. Purple was fun. Lono would roast the crap out of them and then boot him. It was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, I don't do that now. I give people a lot longer leash now than I used to. I let people run pretty wild in the chat. I was even telling Quiet Shy in the mod chat, I was like, we can let people run a little bit more wild during a live event. They're just getting excited. Just let them go. Let them run a little wild. You know what I mean? So, I don't want anybody in the chat right now. If you think I'm being nitpicky, I want you to argue why I'm being nitpicky. Like, why are these things okay? Like, isn't this gameplay footage here for us to break down and analyze? They didn't release 10 minutes for us to just say, cool, thanks for that glimpse at your alpha tech test, right? That's what we're supposed to do. This is what I do. I grab gameplay and I do it. I wonder how many locations there are. Do they narrate this in the trailer? Do they tell you how many locations there are? Because this one, I don't think they've shown them all. Because I think this is the one that's like trees, rocks, and the yellow. I think. Because I think even the enemies had like yellow stuff on them. Well, maybe not. There's red stuff over there. I want to write down. So I wonder how she changes that. Her triangle's purple. Did it change color because of the ability she highlighted, or was it purple immediately? Purple immediately. She's in the lower left corner of it. I'm in the way. Hang on. In the lower left corner. So she's in the lower left corner of it, and she goes over. This whole triangle's purple. I wonder if you can only have one magic type equipped at a time. Oh, maybe she does it. I wonder if she does it in the big circle. In the trailer, it says, is that a blanking dragon in Fear? Oh, that's an old dragon. Is this an old trailer? Is that an old trailer? Yeah, I would need her to rotate all the way around here to see. Yeah, because that was purple as well. She has different magic types. I love that thing. That's like right out of the what are those giant? What are the freaking knights called in Elden Ring? Swing their tail. It's so similar. I don't think they borrowed it or stole it. It just looks very similar. Okay, she leveled up. I like the level up UI. Then you can change the magic. Player games say you change your stance. Oh, that'd be really cool, Jose, if you can like just change your magic on the fly the way you like change your stance in Tsushima. Yeah. Did you like Elden Ring? I like the first 60% of Elden Ring, and then I feel like the back half of the game is pretty subpar. The first half of that game is like 9 out of 10 excellence, and then the back half is like 7 out of 10. And that 7 out of 10 feels way lower than a 7 because of how great the beginning is. Obviously that's my opinion. I think you are being nitpicky about things like text and damage numbers. I think people will selectively be okay with the UI. Yeah, but I think we want to be. You want to be fair to me though. Corey. I wasn't saying, like, look at Guardian's Way, how it's sloppily there. It's not aligned to this. I specifically said that almost nobody's going to see that and nobody's going to have a problem with that. But I said it could indicate they're gonna focus on style to a fault. And with the fisheye menu and the insane amount of UI during combat, I feel like I was proven right. I hadn't watched this beginning to end yet. I'd watched portions of it and thought, this is really confusing. There's so many different elements and so many different styles. I literally said in this video, before I saw all the vulnerable stuff up on the screen, I said, if you're willing to use font decisions like that, that's concerning. Because then you're going to start doing other things that are more about style that could be a hindrance to the game. Accessibility issues demand the UI to be customizable, I would think. Just let me turn off the UI and let me turn off all the vulnerable text. Now, graphically speaking, this right here looks at the level of Forbidden West, which I'm very pleased with. As long as this game hits the graphical fidelity of Horizon Forbidden West, the lighting and the shadows here. Well, hang on. Shadows did something funny there. No, that was just YouTube. Ignore me. Ignore me. Whoops. I tapped back on my mouse. I have that side button bound to back, and I tapped it with my hand. All right, we're back where we were. I want to see how fast she dispatches these guys. No, yeah, you see, they're hiding it. No, go back. Listen. This isn't nitpicky, okay? I called this out during the first Forspoken gameplay combat trailer, whatever the frick they called it. I said, even the most mundane trash enemies seem to take forever, and they hide it in this clip. I want you to watch their health bars. So she nails this guy, 5% of his health bar maybe. And now he's vulnerable. That guy comes in for a swing. She goes back in. She's going to slam the ground. That guy gets knocked back. Maybe again. 10% of the health bar, the red. And now they're fast forwarding. So now they've skipped, and this guy's really low health. So she kills him, and then she's got them all in that thing, and then they all die. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know, Barrier. See, again, they're trying to hide the fact that this is a run-of-the-mill enemy. This is a run-of-the-mill enemy. He's already low health. She grabs him. He was half health, and look. It's just maybe she's underleveled. If she's underleveled, why would you show that off? Why would you show that off? One of the things I've noticed about this game's combat is even the most basic enemies, the fights just seem kind of tanky, kind of grindy. You might like that, okay? You might like that. That could be like, maybe it's inspired a little bit by JRPGs. That was the definition of nitpicking. No, it wasn't! They're basic enemies, and she's barely hurting them. Okay, we've talked about this before. You have to have hierarchies of combat. When you go through a game, whether it's Thymesia or Elden Ring, you have to have hierarchies of combat. And there's something about having the microcosmic grind of killing the little guys very quickly and feeling awesome. And then there's this distinct difference when you get to the majors, like a bigger guy, or a mini boss, world boss, or a significantly larger boss, like an actual campaign boss. You have to have those hierarchies because it establishes what you need to do in each fight, right? It's also very early game. She's later on quest to unlock armor. Okay, I guess I might take that she's on a quest to get armor. I'm just telling you it's a concern. I'm not telling you it's going to be bad. I have a concern where every single time I've watched combat in this game, the fights take forever. There's another video where they show fights beginning to end, and she's just fighting things out in the open, and they're showing off all these amazing powers that she has, and they take forever. I don't think bullet spongy enemies is nitpicking. It's a legitimate criticism. I would say it's a legitimate concern. I'm voicing it as a concern. There's another video. There's another video where she has all these abilities, and the fights take forever. I voiced a concern back then. I was like, why are the fights taking so long? Shouldn't she just be wrecking face? These guys look freaking awesome, by the way. These guys here, these guys are dope with their black wings and their black armor. Okay, here we go. She's going to fight him. All right, let's see. Okay, they're vulnerable. See, this seems fitting. These seem like major enemies. These don't feel like run-of-the-mill enemies. This seems like an upgraded mob, as it were. They're larger, they're armored, they all came together. There seemed like there was a bit of a cutscene, and one of them grabs you. Like, this actually seems totally fine. Boom. Nice. Oh, by the way, just before this scene, she leveled up to level 9, so I don't know what level she is right now. You're telling me, like, how fast are you leveling up? That, like, I don't know. She's brand new to this. She was level 8 just before she got into this fight. She's gotten She's brand new to this. Really? Look at all the abilities she has. What do you mean she's brand new to this? What are you talking about? This fight looks awesome with these guys. It does. Right? As I said before, in the combat footage that dropped a long time ago, all right? She's walking up here. She's apparently a level 8. She's got all these abilities unlocked. Okay? And these guys, the cap is 50. Yeah, so she's a level 8 out of 50. Look at all the abilities she has, and I'm supposed to believe this is super early in the game and she's real weak. Look at what you're saying compared to that. Look at all the stuff she has. Look, down in the corner, she's level 8. Proof, right underneath me. She's level 8. So she's been playing long enough to get to level 8. She's got all these abilities unlocked. And listen to what I'm saying. This is the concern that I have. This fight in this town, in this village, with these run-of-the-mill enemies, feels not that distinguishable from the fight against the big guys. They're both taking about the same amount of damage. Look at the health bars in these fights. So she's a level 8. She's got all these abilities unlocked. She's apparently strong enough to fight a group of what look like to me what we would classify as majors. These are minors. If we're gonna like have minor trash ads, majors, mini bosses, bosses, you know, quest bosses. If that's like a pretty, I think that's an acceptable hierarchy in most games. Like this fight and the amount of damage these guys take and what she's able to do to them, and they splice it up so you can't even see. She's hitting them with pretty big attacks, and they're taking, like, chip damage. It's like slowly chipping them down, even when she hits them with something pretty strong, like 4, 5, and 3, and 2, and now he's at half health, and then she lays that on them. And then it leads to this scene, okay? Now we're in this scene, and these guys look to be significantly stronger. They look like a pretty big threat, and this fight looks amazing, but the amount of damage that she's doing to them, watch. She hits them here. 4s and 1s and 41s are popping up. Oh, those are 4s. 41s and 72, sorry. So she primed them maybe, and that's why they took more damage. I wonder if it's like Anthem. Like she was getting 41s and 72s on these guys because she primed them and made them weak to damage, and the first fight she wasn't doing that. You also have no fire for what she's doing. Some of the stasis crowd control type stuff. Right. I wonder if this is going to be like Anthem, where if you don't actually prime, and you said the Anthem system earlier, like Eugene, are we going to do the go back and give me credit thing? I'm trying to reach out as best I can. If I had to guess, I'll bet this game ends up a lot like Anthem. Yeah. The water could be yeah, the water could be a little bit better. You see how it's just like a stiff straight line along that wall? That just, again, doesn't look organic. It just doesn't look organic. That immediately stood out to me. It's like a straight frickin' line. Water doesn't seem to be moving. There's nothing dynamic about the water at all. And I know water's I know water, it's a nitpick. Water is pretty cool these days. In most games, water looks pretty good. That looks pretty bad. That doesn't feel like it's moving. It doesn't feel, it feels very flat. Like, look at that. It's like she's skating on ice. Maybe it is ice. You think is this ice? Is this supposed to be ice? I don't think so. There's green everywhere. Yeah, no, that's supposed to be water. Because she looks great. Her water looks amazing. It looks a little bit disconnected from this because this looks really flat and non-detailed. And her water looks awesome. I love the hop out. Yeah, it's not ice. She's got a wake behind her. I think all of her movement and traversal is spectacular. I mean, even kicking the chest open, is a little flamboyant, but I think it's cool. The rumor is that BioWare is making an Iron Man game. Yeah. And we've already kind of talked about this. Some people are taking issue with the fisheye menu, and folks are hoping we can turn that off as a UI option. The UI feels a little bit cluttered. I think the menu bar at the bottom is great, and then as soon as you scan up, everything gets kind of weird, kind of distorted. I just don't understand. This again goes back to me saying it just is over stylized. It doesn't seem like something that has been designed for usability and clarity. It just looks like I think somebody thought this would look cool. So I'm hoping that they can, that they can turn this off, right? If you would like to turn this off or leave it on, great, because everybody's different. There's even like a smoky outer thing I'm now noticing here. You're seeing the outer edge, like it kind of blurs. It's not just that it's not that it's like fisheye. It's actually kind of blurring it as well. I'll get over the menu if the game is good. Oh, I think tons of people would get over the menu because the game is good. Because I said this earlier, while this UI showcase is kind of ugly, the depth of customization is pretty cool. I would be curious if we can get other things other than a cloak. Does it show anything else in the menu here? Yeah, gear, cloak, and necklace. It looks like the two things you can wear are cloak and necklace. And then this magic, I think you can see the magic represented in the biomes. Purple, red, blue, green. There's definitely a green biome, red. Blue and purple were a little bit harder to establish, but I do think these four magic abilities are going to be like derived from and primarily like represented in some of the biomes with respect to their colors. So it looks like you have two pieces of gear you can wear, though, a cloak and a necklace. Yeah, her nails. Let me show you a screenshot of the nails. The nails are actually cool. I actually think this is pretty dope. This is reminiscent of if you played the Far Cry, I think it was 3 with the Tatao, where you would get like tattoos, and the tattoos represented abilities. This feels somewhat reminiscent of that. So you can see there, it seems as though she has, I don't know if it'll be 5, but we do see 4 nails that are, different, and they're painted, and then she might get different ones that do different things. So I actually think this is pretty cool. In this, again, I think is why they need to adjust the UI a little bit. I think her hands look great, but then I think the stuff over top is just so ugly. It's like it just looks distorted and low quality. It doesn't look good. So that I actually think is another cool decision that they've made with respect to the game having its own identity and its own stylization. I actually think that's very very good. Hang on a second. Let me turn this on here and turn off that and make sure we're on 4K. And I just love the potential here of having your own build. I think these are all good decisions that they've made. You can see just how many cloaks are in the game. I mean, there's at least what is that? 5. There's at least 12 visible right here that, and she puts that one on. I actually think the transitions for the menu are very good too. Ignore the fisheye. Ignore the fisheye. The transition. So when she clicks there, that looks cool. And then backed out, that looks cool. I think the menu transitions are good, even if the fisheye is kind of wonky. Okay, so here she's using green magic. So this is one of the... we have the red, blue, purple, and green magic. So she's using green, which this is Tempest. She has Tempest, Projection, and Dart. It looks pretty straightforward, too. L2, R2, and then if you do them together, you do the one at the top. So pretty straightforward. Wait, or was she cycling through? Yeah, she's somehow cycling through her abilities. Tempest, Projection, and Pulse Dart. And she changes art. Wait, does that change the thing at the top? Are you always home brewing the thing at the top? That's interesting. So she's able to change her abilities down there on the fly. I wonder how you use... Maybe you use them with buttons on the controller instead of the triggers. Now she's blue. Yeah, she switches to blue here. That's blue magic. Well, she's got blue magic, but then the fan bolt was purple. Why is she killing the poor animals? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there could be a farming element to this game, kind of like Horizon, where you could farm the animals to get you better skin pouches and stuff. That ability is pretty dope. That one was called Genesis. There's trees popping up everywhere. You can combine spells for different effects. Seems to be basic elemental magic. Yeah, I don't think they're going super crazy in depth with the magic. It does seem like they're going to give you the ability to kind of blend and mix different flavors that you like. The 2 on the bottom are a spell combo, and using the 2 at the bottom will allow you to use the larger spell at the top. Yeah, but the larger spell at the top wasn't changing in name, so will it change in effect? Because it wasn't changing in name, it just stayed as Tempest, even though she was moving things around. It's Harry Potter with traversal? I don't know about that. I think the combat in this looks far more intense and involved than the combat we've seen for Hogwarts. Hogwarts looks great, but I think this combat looks crazy more involved. Yeah, see, again, I love everything about this until all that stuff pops up. Like, everything here, minimal numbers, minimal UI, and then that pops up, and then all of that pops up. And as soon as that happens, I'm sitting here thinking, man, I really hope you let me tweak that. Because it's just so jarring. So much on the screen. The grade level of the combo, the amount of XP you're getting, or points, I guess, per thing you're doing in the combo. It's just too much. I really want to be able to trim that down. I hope they give us a lot of customization, because her movement and her abilities look great, and then the UI just kind of comes in and just kind of pukes all over it. And I know some people like it. I do not. Now that looked really fast. She pulled up the menu here. That was cool. The way she pulled up the radio menu, like super, super fast. So this section right here, she pulls up the radio menu super fast. Watch. Boom, boom, boom. And then she does that. I like that. Again, it's just kind of messy though. Like, so this looks cool. She pulls it in, it looks cool. There's like this surrounding thing, and then it just becomes a mess of particle effects. It's like, I don't even know what happened. And then we're done and they're gone. You see what I'm saying? Like, I know you guys are saying I'm nitpicking, but that has to do with immersion. There's something about a game where you have a big sword or a big explosion or a big hit, and you see it happen in real time. Like, what were we watching the other day where the Atomic Heart, where I was like, was that dynamic damage? He sliced on the robot and it like actively put a slice in the metal, and it looked dynamic. It looked like it immediately added the dent and the mark from the blade. This is in the other direction of, okay, we know we're going to get rid of this thing, bathe it in an explosion of particle effects, and then it's gone. So you don't really get to see what happens. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's just a little too much. There's so much going on the screen that I don't even get to see what happened to that thing. It's just gone. She just kind of makes it disappear. So it's not that the particle effects are bad. It's not that the graphics are bad. It's like in certain instances, I feel like they've gone so overboard that it ends up looking kind of messy and not that great. And I say that I'm nitpicking. I think one of the central pieces of this game's appeal is the traversal and the combat. And if it's always got like tons of letters and words popping up and tons of particle effects popping up, that could be, I think, a turnoff. Hey, we've gotten some new subs today. Thank you guys so much. We are really enjoying covering all the different games from last week and this week from Gamescom. If you've never been here before, let me pause the video. I am a safe for work broadcaster. We do get in debates. You know, we get critical. I like breaking stuff like this down because I'm looking forward to this game, but I said I have my concerns. And while I'm addressing what Lono says as criticisms, since that's what they are for him, calling it nitpicking is minimizing his opinions. I think most will be customizable, but if not, the gameplay should make it negligible. I'm just saying these are concerns. Like, some of you guys have been around a really long time. And I've looked at stuff and watched trailers, and what have I said? Well, that's concerning. That looks a little funky. That looks a little awkward. Let's talk about, I don't know, Gotham Knights for a minute. Don't you think the closer we've gotten to that game coming out, a lot of my initial concerns when people told me I was being nitpicky or I was being overly critical and that it was going to be a great game, and the more gameplay they revealed and the closer that we got to Gotham Knights, all of a sudden people are like, yeah, this looks kind of like a mobile game. Got back from the Anthem capture event. I don't know, man. It seems like they don't really know what to say with the end game. End game is a giant question mark. And then Anthem had no end game. Like, I feel like maybe I should earn a little trust and goodwill from some of y'all that, like, I'm not shooting from the hip. I'm like, I don't know, man. This stuff is concerning. This looks kind of rough. This could be a sign of overbaked gameplay, overbaked, graphical flourishes and UI, showing off. It just seems like it could be a pretty muddled experience. Well, maybe a concern for some, maybe not be a concern for others. This is why all games, no matter how popular they are for everyone, in my opinion. Okay. I mean, that has nothing to do with what I'm doing. To be fair, Gotham Knights' recent trailer does look a bit better than the stuff you saw before. I don't think so, Sean. I don't think it's ever looked improved. Yeah, here, see? They're showing off these biomes. So this seems like where you start, where everything's kind of yellow. So maybe this is where you get like generic powers. And then, because there's red, green, blue, and purple. Those are the four we've seen. This is clearly a red area. That is looking like a blue. Maybe we go to this place and we acquire the blue power, which looks like ice. That's like a big ice ball. And then green. Green looks like to be a little bit more dark, more ominous, fog-like, toxic. There's her ice surfboard. This guy's got the yellow and the red. This guy's all yellow. And then she's got yellow on her feet. So I wonder if yellow has to do with like nature traversal or something. Like, is she using it for like wind and gliding over and parkouring and stuff? NPC criticism is not a nitpick for this game. They are really bad and very off-putting for story immersion. Yeah, I think that the and here again, I'm curious about something. If they're giving us a glimpse into the fact that is that her cat coming from the other world? And is she in a place? See those books? That cat appeared on like a pile of books, right? At the very beginning of the video, isn't there like a pile of books and then there's her cat? That's why I think they're giving us little glimpses into the fact that like both worlds are somehow touching each other, which might make sense of the animals and stuff. Oh, there's Alana. You're the best, Alana. We're not watching your video, though. Right here at the beginning of the video... Hang on, let me turn all this extra stuff off. I think they're giving us, like, little hints and stuff about the worlds almost being interwoven in some way. See? Stack of books and her cat. You know what I'm saying? And then she gets pulled in, and there's pieces of the new world that look like our world, and then obviously not. So I don't know. Yeah, that guy was trying to bait Teddy. Good call. I noticed something earlier and just ignored it. I think it's worth mentioning that some of the UI choices look so different, it seems like different entities may have designed them. So if there are different hands in the pot, it could be concerning for the game, could it not? Don't think it's a small thing at all. Could be pointing to larger issues. Yes, that was something I was trying to drive home earlier. I said this sort of in passing. I said, it seems like some teams worked on certain things and other teams worked on other things, which is normal, but that they weren't necessarily talking and having a cohesive art direction for the game. There's elements to the game that feel like they're in contrast to each other with design choice. And again, that's okay, because it could all be very much on purpose. She gets ripped out of her world and she's in this weird world. So maybe it's supposed to feel kind of dissonant and juxtaposed and confusing. Do you guys remember the beginning of the game Control? I remember when my friend was going to get it and I said, listen, you know, you're going to be really, really confused. You're not going to really know what's going on. And that's actually totally normal and okay. It's supposed to be that way. It's an immersive thing. You know, it's supposed to be confusing. You're not supposed to understand what in the world's going on. It's all on purpose. So I remember telling him that. They could be doing that with this game. 100%. People defend Starfield NPCs but bash Forspoken's, the hypocrisy. Well, no, I actually defended Starfield's NPCs, and I've even praised Forspoken's NPCs for the exact same thing. I said that the Starfield NPCs and the Forspoken NPCs, they look good. Their clothing looks awesome, very detailed, but they have that dead-eyed stare. I would argue that the Starfield facial animations are better, but disconnected. They almost... I said this when I was looking at the Starfield NPCs. I said they're designed really well, but it feels like their emotions show up late. It would be like me being like, what are you doing? You see how like my eyebrows moved late? Some of the Starfield stuff looks like that. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, it's late. It's like, why was it? I think the animations and the facial movement are better in Starfield, but they're still kind of weird. It's like they're not quite timed right sometimes. Everything feels a few seconds or a second or whatever behind. And the facial animations in this game, I just feel like they're very clunky and very stiff. So I think they're both messing aspects of NPCs and facial animations. I think they're messing certain aspects up. So I feel like Starfield's animations are better, but they still have that glassy sort of dead-eyed stare, and their emotions tend to show up late. This game, the animations of the face are, I think, they're just not as good. They feel stiff. They don't feel they don't feel quite as lifelike. You know what I mean? Why would you compare the scale to Starfield to Forspoken? We're not comparing the scale of Starfield to Forspoken. We're comparing facial animations because they're quite similar in that regard. They have like, this looks like a character that could even literally be in Starfield. So facial animations are a part of that, right? When they're sitting still, I think they look great. I think the characters in this look great. That's actually one of the better scenes with her facial animation, but that's like a fully rendered cinematic. It's not quite the same as like an NPC standing in a village, you know? The facial animations, it makes the VA seem weird. Yeah, let's go to the scene where she's like literally talking to that lady. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Is this it? There we go. All right. All right, let's get game audio on. Here you go.
All right.
You've seen this stuff before?
I've made armor out of it. For Tanta Sila, no less.
Whoa, you made
Armor out of it. For Tanta Sila, no less.
It's like her face isn't even moving. Her mouth's moving.
Whoa, you made that armor? Does that mean you can do something cool with this stuff?
Why does it look like she's talking?
You made that armor? Does that mean you can do something cool with this stuff?
I could, but I'd need the right tools.
And where can I find those?
In Prenost.
Huh? Aren't there any in town?
I'll draw you a map and give you the key. You'll have to do the rest yourself.
Come on. Come on. That is that. Come on. Come on. Listen. The facial animations in Starfield have their own problems, but they're better than that. Right? They're better than that. The facial animations in Starfield have their own problems. There's the glassy-eyed, sort of dead-eyed stare. There's like the facial movements sometimes seem a little bit late. But that's like, come on, man. It's like, it's bad. I have to imagine they're not final character builds. Just very, very stiff. It just feels so disconnected. It's like she's just waiting for you to do something. And look at that. Like, look how fast her mouth moves. It's just like... And, oh, we got a slight eyebrow movement. Like a slight eyebrow movement. And she's just standing perfectly still. Yeah, I'm not bashing, but I will say, from where I sit, the facial animations in this game are not its strongest suit. And listen. Here's the thing. Horizon Zero Dawn struggled with the same thing in their first game. They struggled with the same thing. Everybody looked like a mannequin, and then in the second game, it significantly improved. It did. It looked much better. So if that's one of the weaker points of this game, I'm willing to overlook that. I'm not going to bash this game for having stiff facial animations, because Horizon Zero Dawn had stiff facial animations in its first game, and everybody kind of bashed it and said everybody looked like mannequins, and it was still a great game. It was still very, very fun. You know, it was still very, very fun. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We haven't seen major NPC dialogue animations. What do you mean? She's a major NPC. We go to her. She sends us on a mission to get armor and stuff to build armor. That's a main NPC in the game. Horizon Forbidden West has to have the best character animations yet. Are there any better? I would put Days Gone and maybe even Red Dead Redemption 2 up there with Horizon Forbidden West for having great facial animation. I think Days Gone has some of the best I've ever seen. I think that one gets overlooked way too often. The character faces and the character animation in Days Gone are spectacular. The cutscenes are much better. Yeah, Last of Us 2. Yeah. Very good facial animations in The Last of Us 2. Agreed. Yeah, like, I love Ghost of Tsushima, but that's one of Ghost of Tsushima's weak points, is the facial animations aren't that great. They're fine. They're, like, acceptable. Nobody walks away from Ghost of Tsushima and says, oh, man, the facial animations are amazing. Character design is phenomenal in Ghost of Tsushima, but the animations are a little stiff. Yeah, these are in-game animations. No one's topped Horizon with in-game animations. I would put Horizon against Days Gone. I think Days Gone looked better. I think Days Gone looked like they looked real. Yeah, Death Stranding did a good job too with facial animations. Yes. If you guys are new and you found me today through a variety of means, sometimes I'm recommended on your homepage, sometimes I'm recommended on another video, and if you clicked on my channel and you've enjoyed your stay here, I am safe for work, so you can subscribe in confidence. We do a talk show like this basically Monday through Friday, multiple shows a day. We'll also be covering Lies of P today. And make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button so that you do not miss our content. Monday through Friday, doing multiple shows a day, breaking down games, gameplay. We covered Gamescom last week. And sometimes YouTube likes to throw me out there so that we meet new people. So if you found me brand new today, we're happy to have you here. If you're enjoying the show, whether you're a longtime viewer or a brand new viewer or listener, go ahead and smash that like button. That helps out the video. It communicates to YouTube that, hey, I'm enjoying this content. This is good content, and we greatly appreciate that. It looks like today we've met a lot of people from a suggestion funnel. So if you were watching, looks like some of you were watching Back for Blood or Forspoken or Wolong content. That's all stuff that we've covered here. We haven't covered Wolong yet, but we did cover Back for Blood. We have covered Forspoken a handful of times. Also looks like a lot of you may have found me on your homepage today for the first time ever. Maybe you saw my thumbnail and you'd never watched my stream before. So thank you for stopping in and hanging out with us. We're going to continue dialoguing about this game and, am I being too critical? And then we'll also be talking today about Lies of P, why I think Lies of P is going to be my favorite Souls game. So you're going to want to stick around for that one. It's not even out yet, and I'm already predicting that Lies of P will be one of my favorite games. So let's see if we can't hit 300 likes. We only need a couple more likes to hit 300. We've had a nice start to the Monday, and we like to cover lots of different games. Maybe if you compare Days Gone to Horizon Zero Dawn, but to Forbidden West, the facial animations are the current top of my spectrum. My thoughts? I think Forbidden West probably wins because the facial animations are literally in-engine and they're just doing it while you're playing. And Days Gone did it with the character models, but in the scenes themselves, especially the main character, I just don't think I've played a game where, the faces he makes in some of the scenes where, he has to pull the gun on the guy in the helicopter and you can tell he doesn't want to. I think they do a phenomenal job. Now, again, some of those are cutscenes, which gives them a significant advantage, but those were still the models from the game that they were using. I was compelled by those scenes. I was like, these are very, very well done. And same with Last of Us 2. Yeah. There were some cutscenes I saw in trailers and stuff from Last of Us 2, and I was like, oh my gosh, it just looks so well done. So well done. We don't know the release date of Lies of P yet. I don't think we do. I don't think there's a release date yet. And it is going to be on Game Pass, but I think I think Lies of P will be okay for one reason in particular. I think it'll sell incredibly well on the PlayStation, which is a huge community of FromSoft fans hang out on the PlayStation. So I would hazard a guess that Lies of P is going to do just fine. The Asian market, the FromSoft, the Souls market is going to really, really rally behind it. Both PC and PlayStation, it'll probably make a ton of money. And then the cool thing is they can get a nice fat check from Microsoft as well. I don't want to pivot to that topic yet, so try not to do that. We're trying to keep it on the subject of Forspoken. I'm curious how many of you have actually pre-ordered this game. When you pre-order a game, when you kind of think through whether or not you're going to get a game, how much do you wait, right? How much do you wait? Have you seen enough and you're like, yeah, I'm good, I'm definitely going to buy this game? Do you need to see more? Did you wait until recently? Was this gameplay trailer enough to convince you? Were you sort of waiting for this gameplay trailer? Had you already decided? I'm always kind of curious, at what threshold do gamers tip over into a pre-order or at least a locked-in purchase? Like they're mentally kind of saying, oh, I'm definitely going to buy that game. I definitely am still highly interested in Forspoken. I think Forspoken is going to be a very fun game. The Forspoken gameplay we've seen so far, I think, is good enough to launch the brand's new IP. I still have my concerns about the things I've outlined today with, it feeling a little overbaked, it feeling like stylistically a little bit confused and juxtaposed. But yeah, it looks like we may have had a bit of a buffer and a blip. Like I'm noticing some things on my end. If you had to refresh or do anything, just know that that's something that happens sometimes with YouTube. It's not my broadcast. So sometimes if audio gets desynced or there's a buffer or a blip, that's something that YouTube has been doing. They're getting ready to roll out some new features, and I think sometimes it causes that to happen. I just want you to know it's not my broadcast. We really pride ourselves on having really good bit rate, really good latency settings. I set it to where you shouldn't actually deal with that much buffering, but periodically you might experience that on YouTube. For the past week or so, something's been happening, and we're hopeful that means they're getting ready to launch some new stuff. I know they've been testing some new features. They recently launched like gifted memberships. Before that, they put polls in the chat, like we could do like a live poll in the chat. So we've appreciated those new features, especially the people who have been gifting members. If you got a gifted membership in the last month or so, be sure to say thank you to the people that did it. Be sure to get into the Discord. We greatly appreciate all of our gifted members, the people who gift the members, as well as those who jump in and get involved and enjoy being a part of the content and the discussions every single day. Seems like there might be some weirdness happening on the platform right now. And if you just got here, we have been combing over the Forspoken gameplay trailer. And one of the things we've been kind of talking about is there's a lot of good. There is some things in here that I think are bad and concerning. And then I think there's some things that are a little bit confusing. Overall, I think the good outweighs the bad. I think the bad things feel like a little bit like a lack of polish. Like somebody clearly let this clip out and didn't notice that the water just looks really, really rigid and stiff and flat up against the rocks. Like the water just doesn't look dynamic and moving. It feels like it's ice. Even if it was ice, it doesn't quite look like it's interacting with the wall. It feels like two design elements that have just been like slammed up against each other. And even the reflection, I don't know if that's how a reflection would look like that. Wouldn't it be coming out toward us instead of going straight down? I could be wrong. And it looks just kind of flat. So there are elements in the trailer that look a little lacking in polish, a little stiff and a little weird, but then cool stuff like her traversal, particle effects, and combat all look, I think, very, very good. You know. They completely ripped off Bunboard and completely fine for it. I hope you stay around for my Lies of P coverage, because I think you're completely wrong about that game and Bloodborne, but I don't want to debate that now. You got to save that for later. Does Diablo 4 have a release date? I have no idea. Eugene says, I pre-order after embargoes. I don't know if I would call that pre-ordering, though. Yeah, I mean, there's different scales of pre-order. There's like a hype trailer and the promise of a trinket, and people are like, yeah, give me that right now, right? They're like, yep, I want it right now. And then they buy it right away. And then there's people who wait a little bit. They see gameplay. They see a little bit more, right? And then they pre-order. The people that wait for embargoes like week of, it's technically a pre-order, but it's very, very different. You know, it's very, very different. It's not quite the same as the person who pre-ordered 6 months ago at the promise of a trinket. How gamers talk about business, gaming, gamers, gaming on. I forgot to hit. We've been having a lot of luck with our short form content on the various platforms. How gamers talk about business. Done. And if you guys like shorts on the various platforms, we appreciate you engaging with those on YouTube. They don't hit your sub feed, so if like you're sub to my channel, you're not going to be getting hit with like those short form videos, but they've been really, really fun. We kicked those out. They just hit like the shorts rotator, and it's a great way to meet new people. We had a Call of Duty one kind of go crazy the other day. If you're one of the few people who saw that, well, not few, a lot of people saw it and subbed, and you became like a sub here. Hope you like my long form content as well, doing live streams every single day, as well as taking highlights from that and putting it in all the different locations. We appreciate that very, very much. I don't consider buying a day or two in advance after reviews and crap are pre-ordering. How gamers talk about business. Yeah, to me it is different. It is different that, you know, if you're gonna wait that long, is it really pre-ordering, or are you just like pre-installing? You know, you've made up your mind, you've seen enough, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this. You know, that's not quite the same as like 6 months prior. Someone gets really hyped and they want to get the cool cloak and the horse and then, you know, whatever else. You know, that to me is a pretty different way of pre-ordering. Yeah, you still get the pre-order bonuses even if you wait the day before. The reason I'm citing the pre-order bonuses is one's motivating somebody to pre-order the game 6 months prior. The other is not. Like, you're getting them, but you're not. That's not the reason you're doing it, right? It's a very, very different way of approaching buying a game. What's the point of pre-ordering a non-collector's edition? Well, pre-ordering enables you to pre-install the game. So, like, let's say that you're, you know, while you're working, the game can install and you don't have to worry about your slow internet. That way it's ready to go day one, moment one. It can also sometimes give you nice little pre-order bonuses. Maybe you get like a little pack, a little, you know, pretty thing. That's common. Option, renewing their membership. Thanks for jumping back in. Guys, gifted members are behaving normal again. It seems like they get grabbed fairly quickly. There is still like about a 30-second to a minute-long window before they get grabbed, potentially allowing more people to maybe grab and jump in. So feel free to gift some members and get some of these names converted over to joysticks. Nook says a day or two before is normally what I do. Pre-order also gives you early access to things. Yeah, these days, like, you can get early access to the game. You can actually play the game before others can jump in. That's becoming like a common thing now. Well, like Hogwarts is like 72 hours, and there's a handful of others that are renewed on my own. I lurk and enjoy the banter. I love hearing that people, you know, renew on their own and jump back in after getting it gifted. That's like one of my favorite things. That's one of the reasons we like gifted. Excuse me. That's one of the reasons we like gifted memberships. Is it enables somebody new to kind of get to sample all the content. We do members only content Monday through Friday. Every Friday night, I'm streaming with my wife, playing games. You guys can actually suggest games in the Discord. That room's gotten a little bit dry. Some of the games in there just won't work, so I'm just not going to use them. They're great. It's a great room for suggestions, though. So if you've seen any really fun single or two-player games, they don't have to be co-op. They don't have to be two-player. Remember to use that room in the Discord. If I had to pick between Arkham Knight or Forspoken, I'd pick Arkham Knight, but I'll buy both. Wait, Ghostface, are you meaning to say Gotham Knights? Because Arkham Knight's an old game. Are you saying if you have to choose between? Steel Rising looks good. I gave Steel Rising a thumbs down in my first look. I don't know if that's hitting today or what. I didn't like it. It had input issues. It just randomly wasn't like, and I had a brand new controller. I wasn't playing on a controller that had an issue with the bumper. It was having issues with input. I like randomly, like, my final hit wouldn't register. The camera was kind of clunky. It led to some frustration for me. I didn't have issues. I'm sorry. I didn't enjoy my time with Steel Rising. It felt very clunky. It needs some tender love and care, and it launches in like a week. And I was very, very not impressed. I thought Timesia felt far better for a small studio making a game. So I would proceed with caution with Steel Rising. It didn't feel good to me. And combat needs to feel immediately good in a game like that. There's this huge negative stigma about pre-ordering, so that's part of why I don't consider heavily informed purchases a day or two before release as a pre-order. Any decent reviewers would point out issues. Right. Steel Rising looked jank long ago. It just doesn't feel good. It's if you're going to make me play a game with punishing combat, buddy, it better be polished and smooth. And I felt like Timesia was polished and smooth from moment one. Other than the one fight where like it was cramped and the guy was spinning and his tracking was like perfect, so if I got behind him he was still getting me. That had more to do with the fact that I was trying to dodge instead of parry, but still the camera was frustrating. That was one fight out of a bunch. The whole time I was playing Steel Rising, I felt like an issue with camera clunkiness and input issues. Like the input felt a little, I don't know. It was like I would go up to a guy, dodge his attack, and get behind him, and I would just go right bumper, right bumper, right bumper, right bumper, trying to do the 3 or 4 hit combo, and it would just stop after the second hit. And I had plenty of stamina. I looked down at the bottom. I was like, I have enough stamina. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it was doing that. It was like just randomly dropping, you know. It was just randomly dropping the input. So I'm not sure what the issue was. Maybe it's an issue with the beta that they can address before it comes out. So your mic's cutting out. Never mind, I'm a dummy. Yeah, I was gonna say I looked in OBS. I wasn't seeing any issues with my mic. Were your headphones like half in or something? I'll take Forspoken over Gotham Knights easily, says Distorted. Won't even play Gotham Knights unless it goes to Game Pass. Lords of the Fallen reboot, I'd guess, will still suck. Yeah, the Lords of the Fallen looked pretty good, honestly, but I want to see some actual gameplay, you know? Yeah, I'm only going to touch Gotham because I'm a YouTuber. If I wasn't a YouTuber, I wouldn't touch Gotham Knights with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch that freaking thing. I'm like, that looks messed up. Messed up. You bring videos of speculation, and when someone asks you to source, you stop responding. The assault is real. By the way, everyone's allowed to complain about everything. Of course, okay. Hide you from the channel. Yeah. I'm telling you, people do not have the ability to disagree, and I just don't feel like dealing with them. Their potential viewership isn't worth it. It's just an immediate ban when they just start insulting. I'm like, what? No one's going to interact with you. That's a good poll. What's a good poll? Oh, between Gotham Knights and Forspoken? Oh, man, everybody's going to pick well, maybe not everybody. I shouldn't say that. I bet you it's a 70-30 split. YouTube's acting super weird for me, so I'll just comment in here. I'll usually only pre-order the deluxe edition of Destiny every year. Otherwise, I wait 2 to 3 years after a game comes out. However, decide the new Harry Potter game looks amazing. I may pre-order between the exclusive mounts and the PlayStation exclusive mission and the spell. I'm heavily tempted to pre-order. Yeah, in 72 hours of early access. People take somebody's opinion as personal attack. I just uploaded a video today, and I was like, this is how gamers talk about business. And then people just say I'm just being a Sony fanboy. And it's like, yeah, I guess I'm also an Oculus fanboy and an Apple fanboy and any of the tech companies who adjust their prices in Japan. I'm a fanboy of them too. Whatever. No intellectual credibility in the way that people engage in that discussion. Go watch your mindless rage farmer YouTubers. I'm not on their level. I'm not on their level. You'll enjoy their content. You won't enjoy mine. I'm getting both Gotham Knights and Forspoken, so there's that. I feel like Gotham Knights is just gonna... I don't even know what to call it. Speaking of Arkham Knight, I had fun playing a non-related Warner DC game, Mad Max. Mad Max is one of the most underrated games. Mad Max is one of the most underrated open-world action adventure games. It's so good. And the graphics, I still think Mad Max has some of the best-looking fire in any game I've ever played. The fire on the cars and the tires and stuff after a wreck, I think Mad Max has some of the best fire. It's amazing. Such an underrated game. Yeah, Forspoken will be PC, timed exclusive on the PlayStation. You said it perfectly earlier on today. If we all had the same opinion on every single thing, it would be boring. Sure, I don't mind differing opinions. People that are angry about certain things or dislike certain things, let's have a discussion about it. But the guy called me like something about like a mad virgin or something. I was like, okay. It was like, they just resort to like being some 13-year-old on the playground. Like, really? It's like, I'm 40 years old, married, 2 children. Like, this is my full-time working gig. And because I say something you don't like, I'm just an angry virgin? Like, maybe you're projecting. Is that you? Right? Is that how you live right now? Are you really frustrated and angry for other reasons, and with respect to your personal life, and you're taking it out on a YouTuber? It sounds like you're the one who's frustrated for reasons that are outside of gaming, not me. Like, I'm talking about currency conversion rates across the globe and the weak yen and profit margins, and like, yeah, you're just an angry virgin. It's like, okay, you keep on keeping on, buddy. All right, man. Hit him with the reverse? Yeah, it's like, what's got you so worked up? Projecting, 100% projecting or jealous that it's your full-time gig? Yeah, I don't know. I wish I was still an Angry Virgin. I miss those days. Can we get another coffee order? Let's get some more Reforge roast out there, guys. Let's clear through these old bags. I want to order the new bags. Come on, help me clear out this inventory. Same great taste, amazing light roast and dark roast. Frickmas will be ordered any day now with the new bags, resealable, rip off the top, everything printed right on the bag. Help us work through our light roast and dark roast inventory. I want to start shipping the new bags to you guys. I got called a virtue signaler. Only time in my life my name and virtue have ever been in the same sentence. Yeah. Creatures of virtue signaler. Yeah. Careful what you wish for? What do you mean? You gotta wait till Friday? From me? Okay, no worries. No worries. Hit him with the reverse, then +4. Yeah. Happy Monday. What's good, Liquid Smoke? Not a fan of those bags. Poured it out into a Folgers tub. Yeah, I pour mine out as well. I pour mine out as well. It's just the way that we do it. It was the we've never done this before. Those bags are affordable. Those are the labels, right? The more research we've done, the more we've learned. We've gotten some great results from working with this company. So we're really pleased with where things are headed. I'm the most coarse, opinionated blanker that you'll ever meet. LOL. But I'm a virtue signaler. Yeah. Pre-ordering Liza P, God of War, A Plague Tale: Innocence, and maybe Lords of the Fallen. I need to see more of the Lords of the Fallen, which is such a... Listen, can we just talk about what a dumb way to name your game? Lords of the Fallen. You know, so many years later, we're coming out with another one. What's it called? The Lords of the Fallen. Huh? What the frick? Do you want people buying the wrong game by mistake? Insults are processed by the brain like a mini slap to the face. That was interesting and explains a lot. Some words can hurt, and the new study explains why. You know what's funny is Valiant, one of our mods, he was like, hey man, it seems like you've been getting agitated lately on the stream. And I actually think if I get triggered by dishonest people really fast. When someone comes in here and says something dumb, or, you know, calls me ugly or calls me a fanboy, like, I'm just like, okay, great, cool, tell me you don't have an argument. That's like my new response to people like that. I'm like, well, you're just coming in and admitting you don't have an argument. Like, you don't have the intellectual depth to engage with what we're talking about. But when somebody comes in as, like, dishonest, they get the sharp side of my sword. They don't get the blunt side of it. They get the sharp side of the sword. I get ramped up, right? And it's like, I was like, if we really psychoanalyze why, I think we would know. Man, why does Lono get triggered by dishonest people? Gee, I wonder. Like, there's residual rage. There is some residual rage in my heart. It's like, cut the lying, cut the dishonesty, cut the freaking crap. Stop trying to manipulate people, you know? I get super triggered by that, and I need to work on that. Like, it's one thing to dismantle it and to eviscerate it, but I need to do it with the same sort of calm that I do with other things that get in chat that are you know, stupid. There's Valiant in chat. What a time to turn up. Nothing sets me off faster than debating or arguing a point and someone just drops a lie. Yeah. Liars are irritating. It's understandable. Yeah. Maybe there's a history that we aren't aware of. It's really weird, you know? This guy's laughing a lot. He's good at debating. And buddy, if someone comes in and lies, he comes unglued. Why would he be so triggered by liars? It's a thinker. It's a real conundrum. I have very little tolerance for people who are unkind. Right. Lies and spreading false information like any context gets me going. I wonder if that's why your heart got going the other day. There was a lot of that. Let's all lie to Lono for 5 minutes. Eugene, it's so weird. You know what some of it is too? It happened to me during our first soccer game. Our first soccer game, I was like, let's go, yeah, all right, push up, defense, you gotta push up. And all of a sudden I felt it go up. I think some of it is directly linked to me raising my voice. I think some of it's directly linked to raising my voice. I think I've drawn a connection between raising my voice and being under threat for the last 2 years. I think when I get ramped and I raise my voice, my body is like, is this fight or flight? What the frick's going on? Are we under threat right now? And my heart's going, it's not increasing, it's beating harder. It's an adrenaline injection. I'm not kidding you. It happened to me. I was like, what is going on? I was like, I'm outside in the sun having fun. Like, the wind is blowing, and this is it. It's go time. Yes, let's play our first game. You know, cheering on these, you know, we got a team of girls, 8 and 9-year-old, and like cheering them on. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, I can feel my heartbeat, just like I could the other day. What's happening? I think I've drawn a connection. Sounds like you need cardio. I mean, maybe. I've been trying to run in the evenings with the kid, and I do want to get back on the bike. But I'm not kidding you. I run around and it doesn't happen. I run around and I don't feel that way. I run in my backyard with my kids. I go 5 minutes without stopping, and I stop. I can feel like everything's up, and then it all comes back down, and I feel great. I feel so good. But yelling creates an adrenaline response. I can go like this, and I can tell what my BPM is, and I can tell if my blood pressure is elevated. I can, 100%, just by doing this. I've trained myself to know, and none of that was up. My beats per minute wasn't up, and my blood pressure wasn't up. But yelling produced that. I can feel my heartbeat. It's an adrenaline response. I'm not kidding you. I think raising my voice, my brain has connected this idea that you are protecting yourself when you're yelling. We're under threat right now. I think it's why sometimes in the afternoon, all of a sudden I feel it, because like I'm getting ramped and we're getting into a debate, or from soft games, yelling and getting aggravated. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It's because my brain thinks fight or flight. What's going on? He's yelling. And it's literally just me getting excited about a video game or a topic, or getting excited about a soccer game. Plus drinking coffee. Yeah, I'm trying to drink less. I think you worked really hard to get where you are today, and your subconscious, for better or worse, works to protect your position when you lift your voice. It's a cool connection that you've made. Yeah, I genuinely think I need to work on that. I need to connect and say, yelling can be good. Yelling can be that I'm excited and happy. Like, yeah, good job. Like this one girl had this amazing save. She trusted me. She didn't want to. I was like, scoot forward. You make the goal smaller when you scoot forward. I was like, this is your box. It's yours. And she scooted forward, and clunk, she caught the ball. And I was like, yes! I was like, I got so pumped that she got distracted, and she looked at me, and she was like beaming. And like, I don't know. I need to start doing that. Connecting those moments. Like, these are good things. You know, you're not under threat right now, bro. You're okay. Lono's out here with the Mamba mentality, Kobe for life. People can disagree on what something means or implies on various levels of interpretation of something, but when you lie about the facts, when the facts aren't disputed and you lie, I lose it. Yeah. Cardio could be the key. If I ever have heartburn or feel agitated in that area doing cardio. Oh, yeah, cardio really helps. Yeah, that's why I want to get back on the bike. I miss it. I love it. I learned recently that physically moving forward suppresses anxiety. Huh. Lono coach, that's awesome. Could be paranoia, too worried about side effects you'd never noticed before. I randomly get heart palpitations. The UK health system is so poor that I don't see any point seeing a doctor about it. That's unfortunate, because I would get them at night. They made me wear a monitor for like 2 weeks, and then I just take a very, very low dose of a beta blocker at night, and it helps me sleep. I'm cutting my grass every 3 days. Went from 0. Definitely helps. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love playing and running in the backyard with the kids in the evening. It just feels good. It's therapeutic. You're outside in the sun, you're sweating, you know. We're having really cool moments where my daughter gets like emotional. I'm like, you got to be able to handle disappointment. You're within your right to be disappointed. He stole the ball from you. What are you going to do about it? Complaining and crying won't change anything. Answer with your feet. Get back out there. What are you doing? Channel that disappointment. Channel that anger. And to the point that I'm starting to make them, I'm like, you can't talk. Can't talk during this next drill. Nobody's allowed to talk. No complaining. No trash talk. Speak with your feet. And then they play way better. She saw it. She saw the light. I was like, don't say a word. Speak with your feet. Channel how angry you are, how frustrated you are, and beat him. And she did. She drove him all the way out. He couldn't get past her. And she looked at me, and she was like so excited. I was like, do you see what happens when you shut this off and you just play? Like, you're so worried about arguing and debating and complaining. Stop. Just play. And she plays way better. So teaching an 8-year-old to do that is tough, but I'm like, man, that'll serve you well. You can master that when you're 8, you're going to be an absolute champion. You're going to be a warrior with whatever you set your mind to, you know? Put that on a t-shirt, speak with your feet. Yeah. She's like me, so I know how to talk to her. I'm the one that gets angry, and I'm the one that complains, and I know that if I just shut up and channel the rage into focus, that's when I win. Like, every time I've done that in a FromSoft game, advice for Lono during Elden Ring, yeah, every time I've done that, I suddenly play better. It's like, shut up, channel it, and beat them. And I always end up playing better. So I'm literally taking my own experiences, and I know you're wired like me, kiddo, and this is how you succeed. And I see an immediate difference in how she plays. And it's frustrating for her because my son, he doesn't even try. He's just good. I didn't teach him. I've taught him very little. He just knows. He knows how to move the ball. Nobody taught him how to cut. Nobody taught him. I taught him the triangle. Like, when you get close, make a triangle around them and then blast past them. And he's good at that. But, like, man, he's got instincts that I didn't teach him. And it's frustrating to be older than him and to struggle against him. She was like, why is he better than me at this? It's a great question. You know, she's 8. She can't make sense of this. I'm older than him. I practice more than him. Why is he better than me at this game? And I was like, it's great that you're aware of that. There's always going to be people that are better than you at a game. You're going to have to work harder at things. I told her, I was like, you probably picked up reading faster than he will. It'll take him longer to pick up reading, writing, drawing. Those are things you just picked up like that. Weren't even hard for you. It's gonna be harder for him to do that. He's gonna have to apply himself more. He's got things that he's good at. You got things that you're good at. You got to recognize that and celebrate it. And then you got to know if you're not good at something, you're gonna have to work way harder. It's like you're gonna have to try more. You're gonna have to focus more. You're gonna have to be more disciplined. You know, it's good. They lost their first game. And it's one of those things where we have like 12 girls, and I think we have 6 that really want to play and win, and 6 that are just there because it's either they're being made to or it's just something to do. They could care less. They could not care less, I could say. So they just don't really try. There's no aggression. If the ball comes near them, they just want to kick the ball away. Right? They just want to kick the ball away. They don't want to aggressively attack it, own it, and drive it downfield. Like, we had offensive players playing like they were scared of the ball. It's like the ball would come to them, they'd boom, and they would just kick it down. It's like, what? No. That's great if you're on defense, but what are you doing? No, you got to stay after it. They're just there because it's something to do. So it's like we have 6 kids that, man, I'm telling you what, they are in there. They are going to win. They're going to try. They're going to sweat. And then the other 6 are kind of like, yeah, this is fun. You know, if we win, if we lose. So it's hard to navigate that. You got to properly disperse the high level aggressive players and the shrug shoulder kiddos, because it's not like a team you try out for. You literally it's just more for fun. So it's not like you have kids on the team. If you have tryouts, a lot of these kids wouldn't make it because they don't care enough. They would get knocked out in the first round. Right? They don't have the basics. They don't have the aggression. They don't have the coordination. And that's fine. This is not some league or some championship. It's primarily for fun. I've heard great things about the book, The Chimp Paradox. It explains how your brain has 3 sides and why you react to the things the way that you do. You should read it. It's on my to-do list. The Chimp Paradox. I've got a bunch of Audible credits that I need to cash in. And that one... The Chimp Paradox by Dr. Steve Peters. Mind management program to help you achieve success, confidence, and happiness. Creator of the groundbreaking Mind Model. It's got good reviews. All right, I threw that on the Audible wish list. Hey, Zubair. Did you get the little thing? She put like a little thing in the bag. My daughter did. She like made something for you at this place. Yeah, the mug looks so good. Although, is Team like not printed that well, or is that the picture looks kind of like blurry? Swinging by to do my rituals. Work sent me a certification class. Much love. All right, Big O. Coach Lono must be awesome. Could be just a boy. Males have more affinity towards learning physical activities. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. Also, I have a complaint about your son's picture. Oh my gosh. What? I think that's a tail. I think that's supposed to be Tails from Sonic. That's not supposed to be a phallic. It's not supposed to be a phallus. Yeah, it's not supposed to be that, bro. That's crazy. It's one heck of a tail. Yeah, it is. That is one heck of a tail. Going the wrong way. Tails, right? Yeah. No, we don't let them draw that kind of stuff. Yeah. You can tell because it's supposed to be on his backside. His 2 legs are on the front of him. They're going forward, and the tail is behind. So he's got, yeah. Wait, what? Yeah, my kids, I got her thing. Is it a shrinky dink? Yeah, so she draws on it, and then they put it in an oven, and then it shrinks. And she made it for you. She said this is for Zubair when she brought it home. And we're like, oh, okay. We'll make sure he gets it in the next order. I doubt you do. You'd be the goodest dad. Well, I try not to laugh when they say certain things because they definitely make those jokes, and I think it's funny. But I would never let my son draw that and send it to somebody. It's like, no. Because then he would interpret that as like, oh, that's an appropriate, funny thing to do, and he would draw something like that and give it to one of his friends, and then we would have to have a conversation. You know what I mean? So, yeah, she got back from the science center and was like, I made this for Zubair, and so she saved it. She asked me every day if you had ordered coffee. Tell her I loved it. It looks like a little bear. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a little bear. She's like, it's a bear for Zubair. And she asked me like every day if you had ordered coffee. I was like, no, Zuby's not ordered coffee. You gotta have to wait. Like, you'll have to wait. So it was adorable. It was adorable. She is she's a lot like her mom like that. Like, she has that heart to give people things to the point that people on the side of the road that have like signs, you know, they're homeless. She was so bothered by that she insisted on giving them something. So she gets these bags and she makes them, like, she puts stuff in there. And we talked to somebody who worked for a charity and a shelter, like what kind of things are good to put in there. You know, gift cards to, you know, like a fast food place for food, toothpaste, toothbrush, hand sanitizer, you know, things that are gonna help them feel a little bit more, you know, help them maybe restore some of their humanity with the crap that they have to put up with, and the hand they've been dealt. And so she's always like, she sees them and she gets so sad. She's like, oh, she's like, they're over there and we don't have a bag. Like, she'll see somebody like on the other side where it's like, we can't get to them. Like, we're on this on ramp or whatever, or off ramp, and they're on this other place. So it's good, but it's like, we're also like, you're 8, so we want to like protect her to not empathy can be almost overwhelming. It can make you sad and despondent at how bad things are or how sad things can be. So we're trying to navigate that well, because she's got this huge heart. It makes her incredibly emotional as well. It makes her super emotional. A lot of crying in the house these days. A lot of crying. Oh man, it's fun, right? It's super duper fun, but it's also can be kind of draining. Does Liza P have their own channel? They have their own YouTube channel? Are they putting up their own videos? Yeah, I'm going to run their gameplay reveal from 5 days ago for our next segment. Wait, that's not the right... Okay, I am going to quickly run upstairs and use the restroom. Is it crying you or your daughter or both? I am a crybaby. I'm a very emotional person. Therapy really got me back sort of in tune with that. Having a daughter really kind of cracked that outer shell of my heart. So like crying's pretty easy, especially if you show me a movie or a show about like a mom and a dad and a daughter or kids or something. Holy moly. Everything all the time, all at once. I cried like an absolute baby at the end of that. Just absolutely destroyed me. Just like, my wife's like, are you crying? I was like, oh my gosh, yes. How are you not? How are you not crying? This is so touching and beautiful and so relatable. When she says, at one point near the end, she says something about how she's a mess. She's a mess, but she married somebody who's very patient. I was done. I was absolutely done. I was like, that's me. Like, I'm such a mess. I could have destroyed everything, but I have such a patient, person by my side. You know what I mean? What movie? Everything all the time, all at once. Everything all at once, all the time. Golly frick, it's such a weird name. Everything everywhere all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. It is fantastic. It's wonderful. Amazing cast, amazing writing, the direction, the art style. I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorites. I put it up there with like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like as a super creative but very touching movie all at the same time. He cried a lot, not just at the end. Yeah, I did. All right, listen, I got to run upstairs. I have to run upstairs and do a quick break and use the restroom. Do me a favor. If you haven't smashed the like button, do that. Let's set our sights on 400 likes. There might be enough of you left that haven't pressed like yet. We're going to transition to our Liza P stream in just a moment, so don't go anywhere. That one should be a fun debate. I think Liza P is already my favorite Souls game, and I haven't even played it yet, and I'm going to tell you why in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Zubair, my wife said she sent that picture to you intentionally because she knew what it looked like and she knew that you wouldn't be offended. She says it's supposed to be a fox. It's supposed to be Tails. And somebody said they got a Ninja Turtle. Sing Sing, I think. Said they got a Ninja Turtle. Yeah, Sinking Ship. Got a Ninja Turtle with my coffee. My wife was very touched. Nice. So my wife and I started playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. We tried to play Deep Rock Galactic. Does anybody else feel like that game is way too hard? Like, they didn't teach us how to make ammo. And, like, we went through the whole tutorial, and I was like, this is going to be such a fun little content loop for us to play. And then the first mission, it was like, we just ran out of ammo. And they didn't teach us how to do it. And I was like, why is this game hard? I thought it was going to be like really easy. So we just switched over to Tiny Tina Wonderlands. Sadly, I think I'm going to have to buy it again. I have 2 PlayStations and I'd rather just both of us play on a PlayStation because like she's playing on a computer and I'm playing on the Xbox and like we're dealing with, I need to get an Ethernet cable too. We might have to do a Target run tonight. Just get like really long Ethernet cables to run to the living room instead of like ordering them on Amazon. But yeah, we're having fun with it. It's meant for advanced players. It gets hard at difficulty 3 or 4. I honestly thought Deep Rock Galactic was going to be like a super laid back game. Can't you just PS share? I bought Tiny Tina's Wonderlands on PC and Xbox. I haven't bought it on PlayStation. I just felt like such a dummy ordering it on PlayStation since I owned it in other locations. But like, it's just not running that well on the PC because like, I don't know. I just think games like that run better on console. Borderlands games in general. I don't know. It's just cleaner. We did play Returnal. That was actually fun for a little bit. We got to the first boss and we almost beat him. I don't think she liked it. I don't think it made sense to her. We might need a better television for the second television. It's like really hard to see on that old plasma. So it's like I might have to get like just break down and buy a second one because it's like it's defeating the purpose of having 2 PlayStations for us to play together when one of us has to play on like such a dated TV. It just doesn't look, everything looks muddy and bad. And I could buy one that's like cheap off brand, you know. Will we make the tower co-op at some point? Yeah, the tower not being co-op is a huge miss because that feels built for co-op. It just feels built for co-op, like a little rogue. You know, like a classic rogue, room to room, getting weapons, getting buffs. It just feels like a classic rogue experience. Okay. Because it's like we got the other PlayStation. I was like so excited to play games, but like it's been almost an immediate bummer because like the other TV's quality is just so low, you know. It just kind of immediately kind of sours, puts a damper on it. I've got a nice monitor out there, so maybe I can just put the monitor on the coffee table, but that's not ideal either. That's not ideal either. Okay. Deep Rock is fun, not exactly easy. We just wanted something laid back, which is why we switched to Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It's like, I was like, why does every game have to be like this, you know? Undo. Like, I was like so grumpy. I was like, every time we try and play a game, we run into this. It's like, I just want to play something laid back and fun. And like, Returnal was fun, but again, it's like, it's muddy and it's hard for her to see on that monitor. So like, it didn't translate to a good experience. So until we get another monitor, another good TV, I don't think it's worth playing a game like that. All right, there's a link in chat. That's where we're headed. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. There we go. That's where we're headed. It should redirect you. If it doesn't redirect you, there it is. Lies of P gameplay trailer was revealed during Gamescom, and finally getting an extensive look at the Lies of P gameplay has convinced me that I think this is going to end up being one of my favorite Souls-like games. Recently really fell in love with Thymesia, still working on that one here and there off stream, but I do think this Lies of P gameplay is showing a lot of promise. I want to break down right here at the beginning of the video why I think that. I'm going to walk through the good, sort of the unknown, and then talk about my prediction for this game. We like to do that at the beginning of the video so you don't have to go searching for my thoughts. It is a longer video because it's a live stream. I'm actually going to end the previous live stream about Forspoken gameplay. I'm going to bring those people over to this stream so that way they can enjoy continuing to hang out with us. We do multiple live